Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. Happy Monday, everyone. It's a happy Monday following yet another perfect week for the basketball team. 2-0, one tough one on the road, unexpectedly. One pretty breezy and fun offensive one just Sunday, a day ago. Also, happy transfer portal opening day Monday for football. It's been a wild, wild west type of day. Happy Bengals on Monday Night Football going on in the background, causing rifts that are unexpected and rifts that then have ripple effects, but we carry on Monday. And also a special happy Monday crosstown shootout week Monday, as the Bearcats' next game on the schedule is that team from Norwood, and the game is there as well. So without further ado, let's bring in my guys, pals, squad. We've got only 1 and 2 right now. We're expecting 3 later. 4 is no longer a count, but of course, as always, Aaron Smith.
Got a surprise for you, Brent.
Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel. And, without further ado, I'm going to say it. I had the other intro ready and rolling, so I'm just going to say it again. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, no Ryan Royer yet, but the third leading scorer in program history, the consensus 2002 first-team All-American, 2-time Conference Player of the Year, and current radio color analyst alongside the legend Dan Horde. That's right, number 22, Steve Logan. Gentlemen, how are we?
What up, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Here we go.
Thanks for being here, brother.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sir.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. Locked in. Well, how are we? Chad, Aaron, Steve, surprise. How are we?
I'm better now. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to get Steve on, but working through some things, and now here he is. So I'm doing better. I got the old school, old school home field hoodie on, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. What's up? I had a little on, but I navigated my way through it, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Much appreciated. We love that you make time for us. It's awesome.
No doubt.
That's called adversity, Steve, right? You gotta figure your way out through adversity, man. You gotta get a little 10-0 run against you. You gotta be able to bounce back, right?
Absolutely, man.
Hey, you don't outscore another whole team by yourself without knowing how to battle through some adversity.
Yeah, that's true. I got hot, man. I had some good teammates I was playing with, man.
Get Steve the ball.
Give me the ball. Give me the ball when it's hot, man.
It's a good defer. Good defer. Aaron, how are we, sir?
I'm doing all right. Just making it through the Mondays. So
Aaron's got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah, Aaron, you sound like you got a case of the Mondays, man. Come on now. Pep up. It's shootout week, man. Come on.
Got like 6 days to get ready for it. You don't want to blow it all on Monday.
Yeah, but that's enough time, man. You know?
I know.
I remember those 6 days before game. 6 days before Xavier game, man. That's a lot of practice with Coach Bobby Huggins, buddy.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of yelling and screaming and on the line. You know what I mean? That's a lot.
Yeah, what was the longest? What was the longest from one game before the shootout that you guys had in your career? Do you remember?
I mean, I would say probably 6 days. 6 days. If you have a game on Sunday, and then your next game is the shootout on Saturday. That's a whole week, man. You know what I mean? That's a lot of film. That's a lot of preparation. That's a lot of talking through and walking through stuff. So, that's a lot of preparation for us. I mean, it's good for our UC players to go through a full week of practice. I think they might have one soft day, but other than that, man, I know Coach West is making them guys get after it.
Chet.
Brent, knock it out. I know you're amped up. I know you're ready.
I'm ready.
You saw your whole world collapse before you.
I did. And then I heard Aaron say a little surprise. I was like, all right, let's amp up. Let's amp up. Well, okay. Should we let's go ahead and touch on the past first, Steve.
Okay.
Let's get the crowd juved up for it, and then we'll talk about the current team and outlook for this week as well. But let's talk about the past. You went 2-2 against Xavier. The best thing about that is you scored 22 your senior year against them. If you didn't know, you scored your 22nd point with 0.5 seconds left on the clock. Nice little finger roll as the buzzer was sounded for a 20-point win at Cintas, which was the last win that the Bearcats have had at Cintas. Just kind of break down. You also sadly lost one where Bearcats were number 1 in the country at the time. That is another rough game at Cintas, but you ended the career on a win. Just kind of break down your entire MO, your entire thought on the crosstown shootout itself now that this crosstown week is here.
Well, my freshman year, one thing about the crosstown shootout, it doesn't matter who's ranked or what's going on in the year. This is the biggest game of the year for both teams, both parties. We're right up the street from each other. My first year, the crosstown shootout was at home at UC, and I ended up, scoring 18 points, and we ended up winning that game. The following year, Kenyon Martin's senior year, we was number 1 in the country, and we went over to Xavier, and we lost that game. We're number 1 in the world, but number 2 in the city. So that was very devastating for us to, be number 1 in the world and then go across the street and lose to them guys. Kudos to them guys. Some guys played hard. And then my third year, I get stripped with like 4 seconds left to win the game against Lloyd Price. Lloyd Price, I tried to cross over at halftime. I don't know why I did it. The guy is such a great defender. He got long arms. Hugs told me, do not cross over in front of him. He got long arms, so I ended up crossing over in front of him. He ended up ripping it and laying it up. So now I'm 1-2 with him. And then come down to my senior year, we was able to get a chance to win it, and me scoring a bucket at the end and have 22 points was so fitting. So I'm at an even 2-2 with those guys, and it's so good for the game, man. Just to have a in-city rival between two nice, good, fun guys going at it. I can't wait till Saturday to see it, man.
One last thing, your senior year, I mean, these games don't come without a little bit of bad blood during the game as well. There was a hard foul on Jason Maxiel, and you guys who kind of got a little bit, heated there on the baseline following the foul. Is that something that you think just fuels the rivalry, where it's kind of like, even though we are just a handful of miles away from each other, that hatred, that kind of city feel between the two teams, it kind of builds throughout the offseason and then, of course, throughout the season as well.
Oh, without question. I mean, that's when I played, man. Things have changed. It's 22 years ago to when I came in and played. My first pickup game at UC, my summer of my freshman year, Lloyd Price, Lenny Brown, them guys was in our gym playing 5-on-5. Them guys was diving on the floor for loose balls and, arguing with each other about who's guarding who. I mean, it was insane for an 18-year-old guy like me to come in and see that. Just to speed it up to the foul on Max Seal is that, that's our brother. We're not having anybody take hard fouls on us without us saying something or yapping back. That's the nature of the game, man. The game has got out of so whack so much. We grew up on the playground playing, so if you wasn't trash talking, something was wrong with you. That's the era I'm from. Like, everybody trash talks, man. You know what I mean? And it's for the better of the game. So I know these guys at University of Cincinnati, these guys are getting ramped up. They know the meaning of this game. They know how big this game is too. And you better know those guys across the street, they know how big this game is.
And way different back then, because now with summer workouts and everything that guys do on campus, there's not as much pickup ball. Like, there's not as much like cross mingling. It used to be everybody was just in town, going to classes, and if y'all wanted to play ball, you had to get together and play ball.
Chad, it was just like you said. It's been nights where, I don't even know if this is legal. It's been nice when we was there in school and we practiced already, and guys was calling up to Xavier guys like, y'all want to hoop? What, you know what I mean? Y'all want to get some rec in? We go over there, or they come over here, and we just play. I mean, that's a missing piece of the game today, where it's like, hey man, let's play pickup, man. Let's go get some run. You know?
They do it now, but it's just not against the opponent as
Yeah.
much as it used to be.
That's probably safer.
But that's where a lot of the animosity builds up, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
spent 3 months in the summer learning to hate each other.
That's right. I mean, all summer you playing against each other all summer. You know the guy's tendencies. You know you're gonna talk smack to him. I can't wait to see you in the game. Man, that builds up for a good rivalry. Man, this rivalry is rich. You know, this is 30, 40 years of rival within each other, man. You know, who don't want to play in this game? If you're a hooper or so-called baller and you don't want to play in this game, man, something's wrong.
Yeah, they've changed the rules quite a bit to where you're not allowed to talk trash. You're not allowed to celebrate after a dunk too much or anything like that. How would you fare with these new taunting rules and celebration rules and all of that, Steve?
I don't know how good I would have been, man. You know, I mean, because me, it's like if I hear somebody on the other team trash talking me, my blood is going to boil. I'm be like, okay, you ready? Let's go. Like, okay, it's just fun. He's trash talking, you know, he's feeling himself. I want to get going. I'm a trash talk. You never really want to say, hey, I want to fight this guy because he's trash talking. Now, it's limits and it's lines to stuff, you know, especially competing in sports. Now, if you get into where you saying some stuff that's out of line, you know, you got to have good teammates and coaches say, hey, you know, that's inappropriate. We're not going to do it that way. If you're going to trash talk, it's a certain type of way that you trash talk.
You just got to be a little bit more quiet now. You got to kind of, keep it.
But if they've got that rule in now where you can't do it, you got to respect the game, and definitely you got to respect your coach.
Fair.
Yeah, you got to do it Larry Bird style, where you look like you're saying something nice to him when you're telling him something not nice.
Right. With a smile the whole time. Let's fast forward.
Hold on. I got something, Brent. I think we asked him this the last time he was on, but the channel has grown exponentially. So the story I was told, Steve, I will take you back. You're a senior in high school. Cincinnati is playing in the NCAA tournament, and you're talking to Mick Cronin on the phone, and Mick is coaching you up on how to trick Bob Huggins into taking your commitment. Do you remember what I'm getting at?
Yeah, but the story, I'm going to tell you this true story. Coach Hugs didn't want me. You know,
right.
if you've been around the university or some of the guys, they know that Coach Hugs was recruiting a guy by the name of Sam Clancy on my team. He was a big guy. You know, and Sam was top 50 in the country, and Sam was unbelievable, man. And he was my center for 4 years. So Hugs would come watch him play in the summer. He'd fly to LA, he'd fly to Vegas, and he'd come see Sam. And always, for some reason, I always get these one-on-ones with Coach Hugs, like, hey, man, I'm an Ohio boy. I want to go to Cincinnati. You know, I always wanted to play with you. You got the Jordans, you got the jump man. And he immediately just all the time shut me down like, we don't need no guards. And I'm like, wow, like, you don't need no guards? He's like, no, we don't need guards. We got enough guards. We're looking for big man. And so he did that to me 4 times in 4 different cities. So the 5th time I seen him, and Sam Clancy was already told me, he's like, man, I'm not going to Cincinnati. I want to go out west. I hate the cold. I want to be warm. So Sam was already telling me, you know, he don't want to go to Cincinnati. So the 5th time I seen Hugs, I was like, listen, man, let me tell you something. Every time, since you don't want me, every time you come see Sam Clancy, I'm going to have 40 points. I'm going to make you take me. And the first 4 times he came, I had like 37, 40, 39, 41 in the summer. And so he was looking at me. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, every time you come see Sam, I'm going to have 40 points and I'm going to shoot the lights out. And so that's been a real story between me and him personally that we always giggle about. And so speeding it up to the Mick, I was just setting you up for the Mick Cronin situation. So Coach Hugs and Mick was going to recruit a guy out of L.A., and Mick called me on the phone. He's like, Lo, we're on our way to L.A. If you get a call at 12 o'clock, you know it's a three-hour difference. We're going to see this so-called shooter. This guy's supposed to be the number one shooter in the country. If we don't call you, we're taking him. If we call you, that means we want you. And I'm like, man, I'm not staying up to 12 or 1 o'clock to wait on your call. Man, I got school in the morning, man. I'm not but I was lying. I was standing by that phone. You know the old school phone? They got the plugs in them. I was by that phone. So, I mean, about 12:30 at night, man, the phone ring. I couldn't believe it. It was Mick. Mick was like, Lo, this guy shot 2 for 21. We all the way out in L.A. He couldn't buy a shot tonight. Hug said, get you on the first plane out here for a visit. Be ready to go tomorrow. and that's how that went, man. I was on campus the next day for my visit, had a good time, and I committed and signed to UC, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Mick always told me that there was a point where you kind of tricked Hugs into thinking it was his idea.
It was all along. It was Mick's. Mick had a hand in that.
Right.
Mick always had a hand in the recruiting. Mick was one of the best recruiters in the world. So Mick was always the guy on the phone with me, talking to me and
telling you, hey, call Hugs and tell him I want to play for you. You're the only coach I want to play for. Yeah. You're the best coach in America. If you play to Hugs' ego, then Hugs is going to like you because you like him.
I did all that, but it wasn't just on the phone. It was like when he comes to see me, comes to see Sam and recruit, that's what I'll be telling Hugs on there. But I never really called Hugs and told him all that. I just said that.
Mick's old now, so.
Yeah.
Mick's old. What can you do?
Mick's still a hell of a coach.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
A great job out in UCLA.
And then what? Fast forward a year later, you're dropping 18 as a freshman against Xavier in the crosstown. You know, Steve, it was funny. I went back and just looked at each game, and you scored the first handful of buckets in each game.
Well, they was
crosstown shootout.
Well, they was doubling Kenyon, man. If you bring in to make open shots, when Kenyon got double teamed and he kicked it to me, and I'm wide open, that's what I'm there for, to make open shots. My freshman year was there to control the tempo and make wide open shots when Kenyon got doubled. And that's what I did. That's the type of things. And if you don't play defense, you can't be on the floor anyway with Hugs. You're not going to be on the floor if you don't play defense. So my job was to play defense and make wide open shots out the kick out.
There we go. And of course, obviously, I mentioned it already, the last win at Centos, your team, your senior year. So big shouts, big congrats to that. But let's fast forward. We're going to hop over the brawl. We're going to hop over all those years that followed. And before that, we're going to go straight to last year.
Okay.
You were back in the building at Fifth Third.
Yeah.
I had some of your old teammates with you as well. Kenyon was there. The infamous, halftime when Kenyon went into the locker room, this, that, and the other. Just talk about that atmosphere. And if you could kind of sense, wow, Wes Miller, I'm seeing it with him. Was that one of the first times that you were there in the building? You saw the team, you saw the comeback in the second half. You saw maybe that Wes Miller could be the guy to really right the ship and get Cincinnati back to glory.
Man, it was a great atmosphere. First of all, to see my brother come back in town, I haven't seen him for over 10 years. To be able to see him come back in town and us go out to eat dinner, me, him, Lenny Stokes, and DeMar Johnson, we went out to eat some dinner and had a good time. But after the first half of the game, he felt like he wanted to go in there and address the team, not stepping on anyone's toes. He just wanted to tell the team how they looked. And, he went in there and got them fired up. And Coach West actually commended him for that because all the stuff that he was saying was true. So the first half, we didn't play for each other. We played a little selfish. The environment was there, but our energy wasn't there. So the second half, if we would have played the first half like the second half, I think the victory would have been bitterly sweeter for us. Even though we lost, it would have been a better taste at the end of the game for us. So coming into this year, I think this is the year that we beat them. I think Coach West is going to really have these guys prepared and ready to go from the tip to the finish.
Well, speaking of Coach West, what's been your overall impression of him with this team now that you've had a chance to see him as a former player, as a fan, and now as somebody working behind the mic as getting an inside look, really, as being part of the broadcast team. What's that been like for you to see Wes from the first time you saw him to where you were at now?
Personally, man, he's a great guy. Personally, Coach West is a great guy. I had two guys, really good friends of mine, told me that before he came through. Jawad Williams, which played on the national championship with Coach West, and Michael Duncan, who runs the Adidas AAU circuit. They called me up before he even got there. It's like, Lo, you're going to love this guy. His personality is off the charts, and he knows his stuff. And everything that those guys told me has been true. Number one, he's a great guy. Love humans, love helping human beings. That's what he's about. And for me, I'm from a different cloth. I want you to shoot it straight with me. You know what I mean? I'm that type of person. And he's done that since day one. You know what I mean? He's been himself. He shot it straight with me, and that's what I respect about Coach West personally. He's not just going to blow smoke up. He's going to tell you, he's going to keep it, like we say, the younger generation, he's going to keep it real with you. And that's one thing I respect about a man, is that they keep it real. Coaching wise, you gotta respect the coach that get pieces together. Coach West has got pieces here for us to compete at a high level. You know what I mean? We got some guys that can actually really play. And so for him going out in the summer, spending his whole summer, dedicating his summer to get guys to come here and play. And then once you get here, you got to play as a player. You know what I mean? He can coach so much, he can recruit so much, but when you get here, you got to hold yourself accountable to go out there and put that Cincinnati on your chest like it means something, man. And so I applaud him for, going out and putting the pieces in the right place for us to compete in the Big 12.
Before we talk about pieces on the team itself, let's talk about a big piece that the university and that the radio booth added, and you, Steve, kind of mentioned how, talk about how that came apart and how, seamlessly you've been able to roll in with the ultimate pro Dan Horde, and kind of what your thoughts are on the whole color thing. Chad and myself, we both done play-by-play back in the day, and we know play-by-play is only as good as a strong color analyst, and you've been killing it so far. So kind of just how that all came about for you, and how you think it's been going pretty so far.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And first and foremost, it's an honor to be able to speak the game and talk the game from my alma mater, University of Cincinnati. And for me, it kind of fell in my lap. Terry was doing some other things with ESPN, and they was looking for a guy to come in and fit that role. And they extended their hand to me, and the rest is history. I talked to Coach West about it. Talked to Dan Horton about it. Everybody was on board about it. So I took the leap of faith and said, you know what, I'm gonna go out and try it. I never did it before, but it was a decision that I'm really happy about. Dan Horde makes it easy for me. He's such a gold in this stuff. He sets me up for the right questions. He talked to me about the right stuff. His preparation is off the charts. You know what I mean? So it makes it easier for me to talk the game of basketball on the radio with Dan. And Mo. I can't leave Mo out because I did 1 or 2 games with Mo. Both of those guys are second to none, man.
What was your reaction when you sat next to Dan for that first time and you saw that giant sheet that he has with every piece of information humanly possible on it? It's a little intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like he's taking a test for college or something, man. I said, so many notes down here. I don't see how you read this stuff, man. He got books of notes, and and that just speaks to volumes of his preparation, man. He knows his stuff. You know what I'm saying? He knows his players. He knows the other team, and that's what he's showing me. You got to be prepared. You got to know what you're talking about. You know the game of basketball, but it's little other stuff that come along with being a color analysis too, that he's teaching and preaching about.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
What's the best advice you've gotten from Terry Nelson as you're filling his shoes, and what's the biggest thing that you've learned working next to Dan?
Well, the best advice Terry gave me was be yourself. You're 101. Don't try to be like anybody else. Be who you are, because the people, they want to hear your take. You know what I mean? You played the game at a high level. You've achieved a lot of goals here at University of Cincinnati. So they want to hear the inside of your head about the game of basketball. You know, and the best thing about sitting next to Dan is, you know, I get to learn from him close up. You know what I mean? I used to play on the court and he used to call the game. So now I get to reverse that role and sit in the seat and see what he sees and how do I dictate and call to see what I see to make the radio and the people there, the consumers, see the game and not be there.
Yeah, I loved talking to you before the first game, and all you said was like, "Man, we're just out here talking about basketball. That's all it is. That's all it is."
Yeah, that's all it is. No pressure, like they said, man. No pressure. You played for thousands and thousands of people. This is no pressure for you. But my first game, I was nervous, fellas. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, it's a piece of cake. It's just the unknown. You know what I mean?
Right.
Get in, you know, not to speak over each other. So it's a lot of little things that we tweaked. But the first couple of minutes, I was nervous. But after that, you know, I got into a rhythm, and you know, I'm just trying to perfect the craft of it.
Well, and you were going through adversity. You were in a sling game one, so it was like, man,
Yeah.
you battling through.
Yeah, people didn't know I had surgery that Thursday before the Sunday. You know, I had a nerve block in my arm, you know, that lasted 30 hours. But, you know, being a Bearcat, man, we learn how to go through adversity, man. You know, God is good. He's my healer. So, you know, I just keep that in mind. And so I was ready to go for Monday.
Any memories of Chuck? One of the listeners wants to know.
Maychok.
Yeah.
Chuck Maychok, man, is an awesome man. You know, Chuck got a hold of me when I was a freshman. And Chuck was like a personal mentor to me. You know, I was young, full of talent and skill, but didn't know how to work hard. And I was bumping heads with Hugs in a young age. And Chuck was the guy that bridged that gap for me to understand Hugs and have Hugs understand me for a common goal, man, just for the better of the university and for better play for me and our team. It took a while, but Chuck Maychok, man, is the reason why I was at Cincinnati for 4 years.
Goat, man. Let's talk a little bit about this year's team. First, obviously the big early season storyline was Aziz and Jamil, and you know, the process to get them eligible and whatnot. And while it's still a work in process for Jamil Reynolds, Aziz obviously has gotten cleared and has joined the squad. What, as you know, a former player yourself and knowing a bunch about the sport more than the three of us combined, what have you seen has been some of the major differences from the early handful of games that the squad had to now adding a player like Aziz?
Well, when you know, his play speaks volume. He does so many things that's not on the stat sheet. You know what I mean? He's a rim protector. He changes shots just by his presence, you know, rebounding the ball and running the floor. That's an addition to the team, man. You know what I mean? That's something that you can't really teach. He's great in the pick and rolls. I mean, you could just throw it up there. He's going to go get it. He's a high flyer. So adding Aziz to the team was major. And now the guy, Jamil, that's waiting for, you know, his clearance, he's a low block guy. You can throw the ball into him. He makes a move here, and he can get a bucket. He rebounds, and he know how to defend. Two different bigs that play different when they're out there, but both needed out there as a team. And I think when we get Jamil, it's going to change our team and our dynamic even more. You know, even though we're rolling right now 6-0, I'm telling you, man, Coach West, he's not satisfied, and that's what I like about him. He's always looking for ways that we can get better individually and as a team and as a program. You know, he's not settling for anything less. And so he's still after these guys every day. You know, sometimes I go in there and practice, man, his energy is higher than some of the players in there. You know what I mean? He's running around there motivating, screaming at coaches and players. Man, we old school Bearcats, man, we love to see that, man. You know what I mean? Because that's, you know, that was 4 years of my life. You know, if it wasn't no hollering and screaming in there and guys bumping up against each other, you know, it wasn't right. It just feel like it wasn't right, man. You know what I mean? So that's hard to explain. You know what I mean? Like, Look, man, we get after each other in a loving way. You know what I mean?
Yep. The thing that's been like interesting to me to watch, Steve, and this tells you how much of a difference Aziz makes. Teams run different offense, or at least they go through their offense differently when he's not on the floor. When he's on the floor, they are 1,000% aware of where he is at all times. And when he's off the floor, they're more aggressive. Like they're not afraid of the paint when he's on the bench.
Yeah, that's just good strategies.
Human nature, yeah.
But for other teams, you know, they're going to when your big man is out, they're going to try to attack your house, and that's just normal. But when he's in, you know, it allows the guards to press up on the guards a little bit more. Like Kenyon used to tell me, it's a chance for you to get up into the guards, because if the guards beat you, you're going to run them right into me. So we can play extra tight on the perimeter with the guards, because if we get beat or you decide to go in there against our big man, you know, that's bad news for you. And that's sort of how this is going on with the University of Cincinnati right now. And the players are like, you're allowed to be aggressive on the screens and getting through the ball screens because you know you got Aziz back there. Not saying that you just let him go. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you get a chance to pressure up and try to, you know what I mean, dictate where your offensive man go.
Give us your thoughts on Day and Jizzle so far. I know you're watching them close.
Yeah, I like both of the guards. You know what I mean? I think Day is struggling a little bit right now because of his shot selection. But it's a long season. He'll work his way out of that. As a point guard, shot selection is so critical because you can get into a slump by taking bad shots. Even when if you make contested shots a lot, but they're bad shots, it gives you a false sense in your head that, hey, I can shoot any ball that I want. I think he made a couple hard shots, and now the last couple games he's not making those hard shots because his shot selection. So I think he's going to work out his way. He plays hard. He's a good kid. You know what I mean? He's for his team. So I think he's gonna work his way out of that. Jizzle, on the other hand, I think we're watching Jizzle grow up right before our eyes. You know, he's already has a grown man body. You know, he's already being aggressive. And then one thing I liked about what I saw with him against Howard, he took the game over in spaces where we needed somebody to score, and he took that upon himself to score and get stopped. So he's growing up. It's still a process for him. He's still going through some of the adversities and stuff like that as being a point guard, and that's going to be all year for him. But he has to continue to go through the process of growth as a freshman.
Something that we haven't seen yet, but Wes has mentioned a few times, and it kind of directly compares to something that you had during your play career, was when you have two dynamic point guards, having them out on the court at the same time. And when you and Kenny Satterfield played next to each other for a couple of seasons,
right?
How do you see potentially later on in the season down the line if they did decide to go with lineups with both Day and Jizzle on the court at the same time?
Well, when a coach is able to do that, the most important thing within the players is that they know each other. They know each other's tendencies. They know their weaknesses. That's how you get on the floor at the same time, by knowing each other. Me, I can play the point guard and the two guard because I can score the ball. And sometimes I got to rest off of the ball. When Sat came in, Satterfield was really good at fast breaks. So Sat can push that ball, Harlem, New York style, get it up, make good passes, and get the transition going. I can do that, but that wasn't my strength. You know what I mean? My strength was settling down in the half court, get into something, make a shot, three-pointer, or get into my bag at half court. So it was about knowing each other. And that's the thing that I think that Jizzle and Day, they got to continue to work on, knowing each other, to get out there on the floor with each other. No animosity. If one guy's bringing it up, somebody get to the two. If I'm bringing it up, you get over there. We got to know the plays out there. We got to know the plays from the one's perspective and the two-guard perspective. And not only that, we got to know everybody else's plays so we can direct traffic. So they got to be in the lab, man. They got to be in the film. They got to be studying, and they got to know their stuff in and out.
Victor Locken, man, talk about what you have seen in him this year. He's looking like a
He's balling. I think Vic is shooting 60% from the three. He loved that. He loved that top of the key shot, man. I mean, out of 12 threes, I think he's hit 9. You know what I mean? So he's really shooting the ball well. He's also rebounding the ball well is good. As a big man, you want to see the bigs rebound the ball because there's something about them rebounding the ball that keeps them in the game and keeps them excited about the game. And I think he's been really rebounding the ball well, running the floor, and taking threes when needed. You know what I mean? He's not trying to do something out. He's just staying in his lane on how he scores the ball. And I think Victor Lockton these first 6 games has been the best I've seen him, and he's balling right now.
I hate to keep going just down the line, but I gotta ask about Dan Skillings, man. He looks like he is a dude, and Chad can fill you more in about just Dan and how he's just slowly learning the team game side of basketball in the process as well. But he looks like he's on the verge of becoming an elite basketball player.
I mean, Dan he's aggressive. That's one thing you can't really. It's hard to teach. We call it going to get it. You know what I mean? When he gets in the game, Dan he's going to score a bucket. He's trying to put pressure on the defense, and that's what he's doing. At times he's been a little erratic, but you got to accept that because the guy's trying to be aggressive. Not only what I like about him is that he's aggressive, but he does other little things too. You know what I mean? If he's not scoring the ball well, he'd get in there and say, listen, I'm going to go get 10 rebounds. You know what? I'm going to go get 2 or 3 block shots. I'm going to get a charge. He's not going to – I haven't seen Dan put his head down just because he wasn't scoring the ball really. I've just seen him step up at other areas of the game until, the game came to him. And that's what he's been doing.
It's hard for a guy to have a shooting night like he did yesterday and still go get 12 rebounds and 4 assists and all the other – I don't think people understand how difficult that is mentally to block the offensive side out and say, I'm going to go do everything else because everybody else has got it tonight.
Well, that's called mental maturity. Just realizing hey, man, the ball is not falling tonight. I can go, if I'm going to be out here, I'm going to go do something that's I need to do that better our team. And that's rebounding. You know what I mean? He don't put his head down and sulk, say I'm not shooting the ball well. He's been a man about his adversity, and that's what I like about him.
You have been on a team that probably had the most depth in the history of the program, or at least the modern history of the program.
Yeah.
Kenyon senior year. You've been on teams where there wasn't as much depth, where you had to carry a lot of the load. How much freer can you play knowing that if you have a bad night, it's not a big deal because somebody's going to step in? I mean, we saw between Seamoss, who sat out, Dan Skillings and John Newman, those guys had 10 points, and they still scored 99 yesterday. That has to be freeing for a player to know that, the game doesn't hinge on me being hot or cold. I can just go play.
Yeah, see, that's the difference, and I'm a correct you because I know you really don't know, but as a player, you never think like that. I think the game depends on me. Sure. It doesn't depend on I got to be going as I become a good player into a great player. I got to be on every night. That's the difference between me being a Hall of Famer and somebody just coming through the program saying
and me being a fat white guy with a podcast network. I get it.
It's not good. I don't have time to be off. That's what Hugs used to tell me. Lo, you don't have time to be off. You know what I mean? You got to shoot the ball, you got to score the ball, and you got to do that every night. And so once I prepared myself mentally for that, that gave me a better opportunity to be successful out on the floor. So I don't think that's good for a player to think that. They say, hey, if I'm off, Seamoss going to come in and do that. That's a great luxury as a coach. But as a player, your mentality is to be on every night.
You've had the pleasure.
I guess what I'm getting at more, though, is you don't put if you come out and you start 0 for 4, you don't have to start stressing. You don't have to okay, damn, maybe I don't have it tonight, but I still gotta, maybe do more than what the night calls for.
Or come sit
down. That makes sense.
or come sit on the bench. When your team stacked like that, and you go 0 for 4, and you've been out there 6 or 7 minutes, and that horn rings, you're coming out the game with hugs. You know what I mean? When guys, we had this thing. If you're off and the horn sounds, and you look over there, 9 times out of 10, that's your sub. So you.
Oh boy.
You had the pleasure of watching these guys through the summer at the limited time that you could get in that regard. You've seen them every game, home game, since they've not really played away outside of Howard. Who surprised you the most so far this season?
Victor Logan.
Yeah.
He's surprised me. I mean, even though it's still early, and January is coming, where that flood of pro teams are coming in, but the way he's been playing now, we're 6-0. You got to give the guy a lot of credit, man, for stepping up and taking leadership of his team. Between Victor Logan and Johnny Newman, man. You know what I mean? Johnny Newman is playing his tail off on both ends of the floor. He's shooting the ball at a great clip behind the 3. He's playing good defense. I call him like the glue guy of the team. You know what I mean? He's the older guy. He's stronger. He's more boisterous. And he get those guys going. So between Victor Logan and Johnny Newman, 2 different styles of leadership that both of them stepped up and paid the bill on.
How much did you see Vic just kind of evolve his game when Aziz got onto the floor?
I mean, he's like I said, man, he's being patient. He's knowing his role. He's not stepping out his lane. Even when Aziz on the floor, it frees him up a little bit more to play the 4. So he can be a stretch floor or he can be on the block 4. It depends on who's guarding him. And I think he liked playing on the perimeter a little bit, like Coach West say. He's open. I've seen him make 10 in a row in practice of this shot. So I know he can shoot the ball. You know what I mean? And he's just showing, everybody else that he can shoot.
I'm sure you got a little excited in the.
Let's start winding it down a little. Let Steve get back to the game.
I am.
I know. Look, Brent, you'll go for 3 hours if I let you.
Well, yeah, Steve and I have a phone call after this.
I'm not going to be on here with y'all all night. I'm watching the Bengals game,
man. Steve, but you're calling me after the Bengals game. I got 100 more questions, so just don't worry about it. But, hey, I'm sure you got a little wild after a couple of those Newman dunks in the early season. But aside from that, who's winning in a 3-point contest right now? Steve Logan in his prime, Wes Miller in his prime, or C.J. Frederick? Who you got?
I think this is a no-win situation for those 2 guys, man. I'm not no back to Coach West or CJ. They shoot the ball extremely well. But you're asking me in my prime, man, it's sometimes I stepped out on the floor at practice and didn't miss all day. And that's just them guys know, the coaches and practice players know. I'm talking about for 3 hours. You know what I mean? In the heat of a battle. You know what I mean? It's just about the moment for me. If I get rolling, I get hot, it's going to be a long day. I mean, we're a little older now. If them guys want to take that challenge now, I'm still up for it now.
Okay. I like that.
You were Field. You were Field.
Me or Phil Williams?
Yeah.
That's the pup to me, man. That's my little brother, man. You know how you beat your brother in the backyard. He can't beat me. Shooter, though, Chad. You hear me? Hell of a shooter from Texas.
Flat out.
Really shot the ball really well. Big shots out to Phil Williams, man.
Was Tony Bobbitt the best trash talker you ever been around?
I haven't seen. Tony was after me. So I
know, but you weren't around. You weren't around much at all at that point.
I wasn't around for Tony. Best trash talker. Ooh, best. Who's the best? Wow. I would probably say a guy by the name Aaron McGee. I don't know if you guys remember.
I remember. I'm old enough.
Yeah, Ace.
I'm older than you, Steve. I was going to games when you were in Cleveland still.
Ace, left-handed ace from Chicago, man. When he got going between Pete Michael or Aaron McGee, when they got going, man, they was gonna let you have it, man. They was gonna let you know.
All right, man.
In
How
the
much
chat,
do you
they
like
want to know
trash
how.
talking Diego Guevara?
True competitor, man. You know, I hated him because he was a shot maker and he blew kisses. You know,
Yeah.
every play was ran for him. And I think to myself, you get to shoot the ball 20 to 25 times a game, man, and you're out here blowing kisses. How many kisses are you going to blow your wife in the stand? My God. But
Too many. All right. Well, yeah. Let's get Steve out of here. But obviously one last thing. It is cross-sent shootout week. Just kind of just your feels. Let's close it out with one last comment about leading into Saturday because right now Xavier has one player on their team that's going to get minutes that has played in a crosstown shootout before.
don't mean anything.
Right.
We don't care nothing about what's going on over there. We want to come in and take care of our business. That's what it's about. To the game plan, playing as a team, and going there with a great level of confidence to take care of our business. And I think everything else will take care of itself.
Do you hate that place? I hate that place.
I mean, it is what it is, man. I don't do too much. I stay on my.
Exactly. I don't go. They used to they for 2 years, two trips there in a row. They literally put me in a table at the top of the arena, and if I was any farther away, I would be outside.
They know where to put you, Chad. You're the door.
Yeah. At the top of the arena, like here's the last row of stands. They were in front of me, and then me, and then the wall, and then outside.
Right.
I'll watch the damn game from home. Kiss my ass.
Oh, you see, man. Take care of business this weekend.
All right. We appreciate you, brother. This has been awesome. And it's been great catching up. I love seeing you back around every night doing these games and getting the chance to dap you up and say what's up. And you're doing an awesome job, man. The fans have loved it. It's been a really good addition while Terry's been doing TV.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for the compliments, man. And thanks for having me on, man. It's an honor, man. Anytime you guys need me, let me know. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk soon.
Steve.
See you, Steve.
Bearcat out.
There you go. We were worried. Like that almost didn't happen. We started the show.
You know you my guys, man. I won't let you down, man.
I know. No. I'm just saying we were worried. Like we weren't sure if we were going to have to reschedule or how it was going to work. But then we started the show and boop, you popped up. And Brent didn't see it yet, so he didn't know. Aaron and I were like, all right, we got this.
Well, see, when Steve was leaving in the parking garage, I said, all right, Steve, let's lock it down. So I was like, oh no, maybe I didn't say goodbye nice enough. I should give him a hug or something.
All right, I'm out, man.
All right,
see you, Steve. Appreciate you, man.
Peace, man.
There you go. I know a lot of other people have tried. There's only one podcast.
Oh, whoa. Look at that.
That's gotten Steve Logan. There's only one podcast in this Bearcat world that's gotten Steve Logan, and that's time number 2. And what great insight, what great vision and up close observation that he's got from watching this team. That's why I love doing this, man. I love getting guys like that on here that can give you the real deal, give you the info as it's happening in front of them. So thanks to Lo. So that was 2 weeks ago, Wes Miller, and last week John Cunningham, and this week Steve Logan. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do next week, boys. Ryan, you better come up with something, bro.
Maybe the first,
going to my bag of tricks.
The guy who just had his first 100-yard receiving game in his NFL career, heading to take on the Bengals that weekend.
I'm gonna have to give him a little call.
No, that's this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be a day after playing the Bengals.
Yeah.
With as bad as
Hopefully
their
steal-
secondary is, his second
steal another
100-yard
one.
game might be coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you knuckleheads that don't know what we're talking about, it's Alec Pierce. That's right, Alec Pierce. But let's go ahead and quick paper supply timestamp that. There.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. Boom, baby. Well, it is crosstown shootout week. Don't want to I don't know. Are you guys going to have a little bit more? I know Dave's the big football guy and knows a lot about the portal and whatnot, but sure there'll be more preview and whatnot leading up to it, nightcaps and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess Dave hasn't watched a whole lot of Xavier.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and call me crazy, but I don't think Dave has been sitting down breaking down Muskie's game tape.
Good limb to go out on. That's for sure.
I feel pretty confident in that one.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it. Well, first off, Ryan Royer, how are we?
We're good.
One
We're
Bearcat
good.
legend out, another Bearcat legend in.
I don't know if you can put me in the same room as Mr. Logan, first team All-American legend.
That's why we kept you out of the room, and then we brought you in when he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a legend in my own way. Maybe not the same caliber.
Oh yeah.
I was ready to tag Ryan in if he had anything. We were in communication.
Yeah, I just thought I would be disrupting the flow, so I thought it'd be best to let the man do his thing.
And he
You're
did.
a legend in my book.
He did.
That's all I gotta say.
Sounds like it was a good time.
Guys, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the big game on Saturday. Obviously, the basketball team is humming. The first net rankings came out, and right now the net rankings are something that you can kind of just throw away. It's they're cool to look at and see your number up there, and then of course see a bunch of Big 12 teams jumping up there at the top as well. But it's one that's very heavily based on just record and not really a deep dive. And there is analytics and things that go into it, but for right now, it's kind of just based off of the early season wins and losses and how those games look. So there's not too much credence because obviously the numbers will change completely from here on out. But it's good to see them up top. It's good to see the Bearcats, of course, in the top 30 in KenPom right now, sitting there at 29th in the country in KenPom, and we're inching ever closer to that special number that Wes said. You're 10 games in, he'll finally give a little love to KenPom. Last time that they reached this high in the KenPom era was in year one of John Brandon back in the year 2020. So that was, the year right before the earth stood still for a little bit, the worldwide pandemic, if you will. But team's humming, man. They look really good. Did you guys see the graphic that the team put out about the game against Florida Gulf Coast at all? I did. Offensively? I'll tell Aaron and Ryan about it real quick. They had a 142.9 offensive efficiency rating against Florida Gulf Coast, which is the third best game for the Bearcats since the 1998-99 season. That's the
KenPom era.
KenPom era. CJ Frederick is number 4 in the country in offensive efficiency. Victor Locken, number 3. And then this is the 6th straight game with 85 plus points, which is the most by any Bearcat team, the longest streak by any Bearcat team since the 1959-1960 season, which also happened to be the senior year for one Oscar Robertson. So obviously a very offensive heavy team, and you got someone averaging 34 points per game. But man, this is a squad that when shots are falling and when everyone's kind of just picking and choosing their times to go get a bucket or do this and that, they look like a juggernaut. Florida Gulf Coast obviously is not going to be a dominant, Final Four contender or anything of that sort, but still a team that, played Indiana pretty well in Bloomington, that, played a couple of other teams that are, P5 teams decently well, and a team that West was giving some good credence to in the post-game press conference, and they just absolutely demolished them. What's your guys' just pulse of the team as they get a week off, heading into the biggest test of the year up until this point, this Saturday evening?
I hate week offs. I wish they'd stop scheduling this thing around finals week.
Same.
I'd like to have a midweek game to kind of keep them in that, you get in a rhythm of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I think they're playing well. I think, you're going up against a Xavier team that has faced more adversity, but they haven't won any of those games.
Correct.
So yeah, maybe you've been in a few more battles, but you came out with your nose bloodied and your lip swollen, and you didn't get the satisfaction of a victory. Now, we'll see if that means that they're a little more battle tested when things get in the crunch time. But so far, this is an X team that, Desmond Claude has been their best player. He is not yet developed into a go-to guy, though.
Right.
Like, he has not been throw the ball, clear out, and Des Claude's going to get you a bucket to this point. That's not to say it's not coming, because he's super talented and he's probably, a fringe NBA type as he goes forward. But, they don't have a lot inside yet. They got numbers, but they're young. They haven't proven really to be overly physical. Give their guards a lot of credit for out rebounding Houston the other night, but that wasn't a night where like their bigs really dominated. We'll talk plenty about this Houston team going forward. I don't know. They don't look like what we've seen from Houston the past couple years, but
right,
a little more guard heavy and not as much physicality as they've had the past couple years. But you have to give X credit. They hung around with Purdue. They hung around with Houston. But they've also lost to Oakland. They lost to a Washington team that's not very good. And their signature win at this point is St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is bad.
Yeah.
Like, they're not good. So, go out there and prove you've got the better team right now.
Yeah. I mean, no Logan Johnson at St. Mary's. All of a sudden they're bad. Pretty crazy, huh? But anyway, I digress. The main thing about Xavier, you mentioned Claude as well, and it's kind of funny. He's just seems like a carbon copy of Colby Jones, who they had last year. And actually, Ken Pom.
Colby is more advanced.
Right, exactly. But his comparison, like the player comparison, is actually Colby Jones from 2023, which is pretty wild to see. But like you said, he's averaging 17 points a game, but it's not like he ever really grabs the ball and takes over. I've watched just a handful of minutes here and there of the team, but of Xavier, that is. But yeah, I mean, they've got a handful of guys that, it's kind of weird, heading into the game, and this is just college sports in this era right now, is that they've got only Claude, and then there's Usman, who came from North Texas, Quincy Oliveri, who came from Rice, Trey Green.
It's the Conference USA second team All-Stars.
Right. Davion McKnight from Western Kentucky. Then, Dalen Swain and Trey Green, both freshmen. Then they've got Gitas Namiksa, Sasa Siani, and Lazar Djokovic, 3 Europeans as well. And so it's kind of everyone's getting their first taste of the crosstown shootout for Xavier. While for Cincinnati, obviously, there is a handful of players that did get, some time, obviously, in games previous. I thought the minute spread of last year's game for Cincinnati was pretty crazy to look at, and the fact that they were able to kind of hang around and make that comeback in the second half when, I mean, Micah Adams-Woods, 23 minutes, Jeremiah Davenport, 20 minutes, Odi Oguama, 25 minutes, Jarrett Hensley, 12 minutes, Josh Reed, 13 minutes. Dan Skilling's only played 5 minutes in that game last year. And then, of course, obviously it was Vic and Landers and David DeJulius having that big push. But, you know, this seems like two completely different teams heading into this Saturday's game. It
doesn't seem like two completely different teams. It
is
absolutely
right.
two different teams as you can get in college basketball from one year to the next. You know, Cincinnati replaced 4 of their top 5 scorers. In the Xavier top 10 of their rotation, there's one guy that played minutes last year. So yeah, it is. It is, you know, it's crazy to think, as much turnover as there's been at Cincinnati, how much of a significant edge in guys that have played in this game just from Newman, Odie, Vic, and
You muted yourself, Chad.
I hit my cord. Dan a little bit. You know, they haven't won there since 2001, guys. It's time.
The guy that we just had on was the leading scorer for that team.
I know that people make this joke that the curse was broken with the TBT team, but that was honestly the first Cincinnati team that's won in that arena in a long time. And if they win,
we'll find out, Aaron.
I think there's something. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. If they win this year, go ahead.
I don't think there's something to be said for that, but I think just go ahead. Like, I don't think it definitely doesn't mean anything, but run with it because it'll be true.
And it doesn't.
I would take any positive juju.
Right, exactly. Over under the Trey Green as the random unexpected player that shoots the lights out. Look, yeah, I mean, the kid's an elite shooter. He hasn't shot it all that well yet, but
didn't play.
There is a level of Trey Green loved Cincinnati. And Cincinnati was looking for something different at point guard. And I think in a different year, you might have seen, you know, Trey Green had become a Bearcat. But coming off of the first 2 years of the Wes Miller era, he was looking for somebody that was more like Jizzle, more like Isaiah Collier, more like Day Thomas. And, you know, that the unfortunate part of that was Trey Green wasn't necessarily that, you know, that mold of a player. So Cincinnati went a different direction and he went to Xavier. I'm sure he remembers really liking Cincinnati and at one point in his recruitment, like favoring Cincinnati. And I'm sure he absolutely wants to put it on the Bearcats.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Chad, I think also another name to sadly look out for is their point guard Davion McKnight, who at Western was shooting mid 35%. He started like shooting 12% or 18%, something crazy like that. So it's like a hashtag John Brannon water finds its level situation where it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully it's not in this game, but one thing I thought about Xavier is that they play physical. They do play good defense. They have a lot of guys that kind of just get after you. So with, Day and Jizzle, you heard Logan talking about it. They're getting better and better each game, but this is going to be an environment that, it'll be Howard times 1,000. So they're going to need to grow up immediately and be ready for this game, which I think they will be because they've both shown that competitive desire so far early in their year.
Cintas is going to be interesting to me, Brent, because it's not a place that is accustomed to coming into this game 4-4.
Yeah, right.
So it can go one of two ways, I think. That place can be desperate and just, hungry, seething for a win. But I also think if you get them down early, you might be able to kind of negate what has been look, man, we talked about this last year, talked about the year before that. How many times has this thing been 19-8?
Yeah.
By the second media timeout.
Yep.
Like, I just like, I know, I think there was one year, Berg left in like the first 12 minutes. Like, he just packed his shit up and left. He's like, I'm not doing this today. And I was like, but we run a business. I'm paying you to cover the game. And he was like, I'm out. Like, I'll still write about the game. I'll still talk about it, but I'm not sitting here in this place and watching it happen. And he just packed his shit up and left from the top row of the arena.
He probably drove home angry. Might have hit a pothole. Probably had to call Danco Joe at Danco Transmission and Auto Care to get a quick fixing on his whatever that is on the tire. I'm not a big car guy, but whatever that is, Danco Joe knows what needs to be done, and he'll get it fixed, and then potentially take you out for a little Mexican lunch afterwards if you are a nice guy. But hit up Danco Joe over at Danco Transition and Auto Care. Mention Ryan Royer. Mention Alec Pierce. Get yourself a little dealio over there. But Chad, you mentioned it, and Aaron and Ryan, I'm going to get you guys involved here too. They were down 17 at half last year. Like, that's just something that is almost insurmountable in games like this, especially on the road. If you get down big early, I don't care if you're the better team. That is just going to compound. I mean, we saw it 2 years ago. That was a good Xavier team, but still, that was something where Cincinnati was fighting, and then the second that Xavier got a little run, it just buried them. Definitely want to stay in touch early. Definitely want to be able to kind of match the punches. Because, Chad, like you said, in that Houston game when it was on Friday against Xavier, Houston had that 13-point lead. Xavier came back. Crowd was back into it. And then all of a sudden, Houston pushes it back out. Crowd gets back into it. And then it was a game the rest of the way. So definitely want to be able to weather.
Well, they did it again at the start of the second half.
Yeah.
And got up by 13 and then, got sloppy. And, I mean, here's the thing about that game that you can't really extrapolate to anything like that's going to happen on Saturday. Everything was a foul. And I don't necessarily think that it was a bad whistle. I think it was a case of Houston always plays a style that says the philosophy is they can't call them all. And that officiating crew was like, well, is that a challenge? Because we will call every fucking one. Every one of them we will call. There were 55 fouls in that game, 60-something free throws. Like, yeah, you're going to foul every trip down the floor. We are going to blow our whistle every trip down the floor. Yep. And we are not to be deterred. So I think that makes it hard to take anything either way. Like, you credit Xavier for battling and staying within that game because it was clear Houston was more talented. But I don't know that you can take anything from it in terms of what does it mean for UC Xavier. It's one of the interesting storylines in this game. Xavier wants to go to the free throw line.
Houston bit one of our players. We know they played physical.
Yeah, they did.
Dejan Giroux, man. That was a nuts game.
That actually happened. He took a chunk out of
poor Mamadou Diarra.
Mamadou Diarra's thigh.
Yeah. Do you remember that, Royer? Big old bite, little chop.
Yeah, I was watching the game live. I was like, what is going through your head? Like I don't know, man. That's just a psychotic break.
You're a crazy person, and it's never once gone through your head to try to bite somebody in the middle of a game.
Because they put masks in front of the football players. They know.
I would swing. I feel like you should swing on someone before you should bite him. Like, that would be more like, all right, like he's just mad. But it's like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, What happened to him this morning? Did something bad happen to him? Did someone forget to take something in the morning or something? If you're biting
15
people,
years from now, like former Houston player arrested for cannibalism, and we're all going to be like, "How?
yep.
Should have known. Should have known."
Roar seems like someone on the bottom of a pile looking for like a spare finger, just bite it. Get it through the face mask, take it.
No.
No, I was not. I thought I hated that shit. Anyway, if I ever saw someone do that shit, it was go time. Even if it was one of our boys too.
Yeah.
That pile shit, man. Like you remember the Clemson dude just assaulting people with his hand. Like, what are you doing?
well, Mac Jones, Mac Jones with our boy Sauce.
Filed. What? Oh yeah. Yeah, but the Clemson dude's the worst thing of all time. Like, you should get like a sexual assault charge or something for that. Like, I don't even know what, but the biting's different. I think the biting's not as bad as the Clemson did.
So, Chad, a little bit to your point, 81 free throws in the last 3 games combined for Xavier, and all 3 games are at Cintas. So that is a lot of trips to the free throw line. There's no doubt about that. Aaron, your thoughts on the game?
Well, but here's the thing, Brent. Cincinnati fouls at a rate as low as just about anybody in the country. So it's going to be critical. Do not I think at the 6, they were 6 minutes into the second half, X is in the bonus. 8 minutes into by the second media timeout, they were in a double bonus in that game. Yeah. They're a team that is not proficient offensively. If you don't let them get to the line, it has been very difficult for them to score. Don't foul. Don't cheap hand checks, like stuff that just don't give them free stuff. And they should have a hard time putting points on the board.
Aaron, pulse on the current Bearcat squad. First off, how awesome was that opening play off the tip? We've seen a lot of teams do that in college basketball, where if you're confident you're going to win the tip, you just get that one back guy to set a screen on the guy who won the tip, get it out to the wing, easy oop, and the Bearcats perfected it, and that was just a beginning to a fun offensive squad, all involved. But Aaron, thoughts on the team and on the game this Saturday?
Give me a dunk to start off the game every game. I'm here for that. Sets a nice little tone. 9 dunks in the game. Also here for that.
You are team. Your team dunk.
Yeah, I've not been shy about that.
Aaron thinks 2s are better than 3s.
It's more efficient shot.
Math. You are a math major, Aaron. What the?
When you're making at a higher clip than you are from the 3-point line. Anyway, we're not going to have that argument. This is already a 2.5-hour podcast every single week, so we're not doing that here today.
Okay.
I was very impressed though with just I think that six games now that they've scored 85 plus. I'm here for all of the points they've been putting up. It's a fun offensive game to watch pretty much every game outside of that first half against NKU. But yeah,
how many points did they score in that first half against NKU?
It was just boring to watch, and I'll die on that hill.
You have.
I know.
Several times.
He asked me, I mean, we do this. We already did the show last night, so I'm just playing the hits at this point. But yeah, I'm not going to say anything that we haven't heard Chad or that I didn't say last night or that Steve said even tonight. I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders, and we're getting to the point where we're getting nitpicky in the things that we're wanting to see this team improve upon. And some of that's the fact that they haven't been road tested really outside of the Howard game. And I don't know that I'm necessarily even calling that a true road test, although it served as one. But this team still, we still have yet to see them really on a tough terrain on the road and against.
Did you see those ladies dancing, Aaron? Did you see the fun they were having at Howard?
Starting with the Lady Bison.
Yeah,
they were having fun. That's a road test.
Man, I love mascots, dude. Yesterday was mascot day at Fifth Third Arena. Man, I was loving it.
The
Reagan's
block,
favorite day.
the block of the Bearcat and then stepping over the kid was fantastic. Made its rounds on Twitter.
There's some like little pig that is the mascot for the hockey team in Cincinnati. That little pig had me dying. I that thing is hilarious. I like it. I love mascots, man.
Somebody cut that and just have a clip where Brent says, "That little pig had me dying."
Man, Roy, if you were there, I would have thrown my arm around you. We would have laughed together, man. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. But I did like what Fake John Goble brought up, and I did want to mention this because obviously CMOS Lukosius out of the game this past Sunday against Florida Gulf Coast because he was
hit by a car.
Which is like just insane.
You saw what they put on the street, the Jefferson Avenue down by where the bubble used to be, right? They put all those speed bumps, like flashing lights.
Didn't work.
I mean, didn't work at all. So I don't know where did they say where he got hit?
Jefferson
It had to be. Yeah.
Going back to the apartments.
So right by the BP?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, people will fly through that area, man. Like I've seen people going like 60 miles an hour running that light. I'm just like, thank God there was no one walking because they would have been killed. But I'm glad he's doing all right, though.
Come on, guys. But
got to take care of our players. Be striking them with cars.
He broke the windshield, so I think the car got the worst result.
Did he draw the charge though? Did he get the charge call? Was there a ref there?
That was a great joke.
You don't get. They've changed. It was a block. They've changed the charge rules.
Oh, he was in the circle, bro.
He wasn't set. He wasn't set. Like he was still moving.
Feet were still moving.
Well, word on the street is that CMOS did pop up and say, "Hey, man, you're gonna have to call Danco Joe over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care and
fix that windshield.
Get this windshield fixed, man."
6'8" Russian just
no
landed
Mexican
in your
food for that person.
Just landed in your passenger seat.
And
it's not Russian.
6'8" Lithuanian landed in your passenger seat.
And he said, if you're nice to him, he might take you out for a little Mexican lunch too. So
no, not after you hit a Bearcat with your car. You don't get the
true.
Mexican
You'd
lunch.
have to lie. You'd say, I had a really big deer. A big deer.
He ran it into Cintas Center.
In
one of the
but,
barriers.
I did want to mention, and hopefully, he a week off for that one case could be a good thing. So, because CMOS, the coming out party that I had when it came to one CMOS Lukosius was in the conference tournament in the year 2022. One CMOS Lukosius dropped 27 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, dished out 2 assists. He took over the game and won in overtime against Xavier while he was at Butler. He was just magical in that game, if I'm being completely honest. 4 of 8 from 3, 11 of 13 from the line. As a young freshman, just completely just dominated that game. And then, of course, he parlayed that, had 12 points, 3 and 3 last year with Butler against Xavier, and then had 9 and 3 and 2 in the other game at Xavier while he was at Butler. So he's familiar with playing against Xavier. Also finished his career, looks like it was 2 and 2. Yeah, 2 and 3 against Xavier. But anyway, so hopefully he's back, able to contribute in this game because the team will be big time. If nothing else, I am excited for this game. Big chance to show on a national stage that Cincinnati's for real because we've all seen it. We've all seen the flashes. Anything else on this game or basketball as a whole? I know we got a deep mailbag, so can keep this one rolling so we aren't 2.5 hours for Aaron's sake.
I mean, I pay him to work.
Time to break
it's
the
okay
curse,
if he
baby.
works. It's fine.
I'm feeling it.
What's that, Ryan?
I just the last quarter of last year, rolling into the offseason, I think we just had a ton of momentum. Start off the year strong, looking exactly like where I thought Wes Miller would have the team. Everything's progressing and rolling, and now this is like the nail in the coffin. This is like the true litmus test of this team is to go in, win at Cintas, and I think they need to start out fast because, like you said, they're gonna come harder than they came at Houston, and they're not just gonna lay down. So they got to come out strong, and they got to just keep it on them all night. And I'm hoping the Bearcats could keep that 7-10 point cushion going just all the way through deep into the second half, because you never know what happens with those rivalry games, man, especially the kind of luck we've been having over in Norwood. So I think it's time. They got to just go make it happen. I think Wes is going to have them super ready to go. I'm really excited to watch.
Gosh, it does feel like a CMOS and Vic game. Just like carving up Xavier.
I mean, they really struggled with Oakland's big guys. Like they really struggled to guard those guys, and we'll see. Like you're gonna have to put pressure on them. They can guard on the perimeter. They showed that against Houston. They can guard on the perimeter. You're not going to beat them with guards. You're going to have to beat them inside. That's their soft spot. So Aziz, Vic, CMOS, Odie, that's going to be the path, because that's what Houston didn't have. Houston doesn't have their normal like 3-4 big bruising dudes they could throw in there, and that worked in Xavier's favor. Your advantage is you've got more inside than they do. Make them pay.
Aaron, and clothing?
In clothing? What's clothing have to do with it?
I said closing.
Oh. Did it sound like you said clothing, Ryan?
Got a stuffy nose.
I don't know, but it just made me laugh the way.
Well, hopefully
in
clothing too,
Aaron. Aaron, the nightcap is going to be nude. So
Aaron.
the new segment.
Never.
Put that on pay-per-view.
Not once.
Keep it above the waist, and you
That'll
won't
be
get
on Aaron's
demonetized.
OnlyFans.
I'm good.
I'm not Bert Kreischer in a nightcap. It's not happening.
It's like the old what was that, Naked News way back in the day that you would want to watch as a little kid. Just Aaron just slowly takes the hat off, then glasses.
What are you doing? Why are you even describing this? It's weird.
He's got the long hair.
Yeah, he does.
Go Bearcats. That's my closing.
Love Skyline. Go Bearcats. Rock and roll. No free ads. Go ahead, quick paper.
I mean, free ads. So if you give me stuff, I'll do free ads.
Okay.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call our guy Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. Happy Transfer Portal Day to you, Ryan Royer. Football talk.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Let's get your thoughts on this is just crazy. Like college sports is
it's
wild.
crazier than I thought it was going to be, man.
College sports is wild, but college football, the amount of quarterbacks in the transfer portal. You add Kyle McCord to the list. You add.
I was Kyle surprised about Gabriel.
I was gonna say, is Kyle McCord or Dylan Gabriel the bigger surprise in the transfer portal?
Yeah,
I agree.
Because those Buckeye psychos that they freak everyone out, and they want to go get that Ward dude at Wazoo, and that makes sense because they expect Stroud and Fields at Ohio State. In the moment McCord wasn't like that, they're like, let's get him out of town, and it's just the psychosis of Ohio State fans. But Gabriel, one, I didn't know he had another year. Two, unless I didn't watch every one of Oklahoma's games, but I knew his stats. His stats were nice. I don't know.
I think the thing there is that they've got that Jackson Arnold guy who I'm sure maybe someone at Oklahoma was like, "Listen, Dylan, we love you, but we got to get Jackson Arnold out on the field, or else we're going to lose Jackson Arnold." And
the investment of Arnold is worth more. Yeah,
maybe something along those lines. Like that's why I was kind of surprised to see the fact that you had Arch Manning say that he's going to be coming back to Texas and not entering the portal himself or anything of that sort. So either way, the thoughts on what you've been seeing as far as Bearcat side of things. Obviously, the influx of Bearcat names to the portal kind of happened all throughout last week. And then now we're seeing a bunch of offers go out left and right as far as it goes for targets that are in the portal. And obviously on BearcatJournal.com, phenomenal job keeping up with that. Dave, Chad, Keegan doing a great job. They're keeping that thread rocking and rolling, the VIP hot board, portal board, if you will.
I got some, Brent.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to know who you guys would want to go out and get for quarterback experience, because I know they're going to go get one. They need to, because you can't have just Drogosh and Lichty. You need to bring in a guy that's going to compete with them and push them and let the best man win, kind of like an Emory Jones situation, but God hoping it goes better. I got my pick, Ben Bryant. He's coming back for his third tour, and we're getting him. All right. And don't anyone challenge me on this. Okay?
What is that's his?
I don't want to hear a goddamn word from
that's his. That's his bird flu year, right? He already used his corona year. That's a bird flu year now.
Yeah.
I have no comment.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go. I think that means
Chad.
I think that means
everyone
Chad,
get on the board.
Chad has some names in mind. You know, I think it'll be interesting as well because it's like so young in the whole transfer portal, you know, season, if you will. Obviously, the surprise that some names have had on just the general media and the general, you know, college football followers is, you know, will there be even more crazier names? Is there going to be something where, you know, someone might be the main target, not necessarily at quarterback for a team initially, and then all of a sudden they see 10 more names at a position that they like, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, what's going on with these? So I think it'll be interesting to see how different staffs approach the portal as a whole, because I'm sure there's a grouping of names that they are understood with in the initial wave, and then all of a sudden seems like maybe the second wave and third wave is also going to be crazy. But as Chad said, I'm not going to.
Here's what I would say, Ryan. The more big name quarterbacks that enter the mix, the better it is for UC.
Yeah, because 100% agree.
Because
I would love if UC got Kyle McCord.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I know, but
it's Marvin Harrison Jr. coming with him, because if not, I think he was pretty damn mediocre throwing to anyone not named Marvin Harrison Jr.
I think he would be good.
That makes one of us.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's 1 out of 4.
I'll stand by.
I don't think he's. Here's the thing, Ryan. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he really changes a whole lot. Like, I don't think you go into that season next year thinking Kyle McCord changes much of anything
for UC,
for this offense. Yeah.
So we'd still be good for 1 or 2 picks a game and just no passing.
I think there's a lot of balls that Emory missed that I think McCord could make. Just like I thought Emory would make them too, but I don't know. I watched some of their games. I thought he was overhated, to be honest.
I think that's fair. Like, Ohio State fans are going to hate just, you know.
Yeah.
Just, you know what they're feeling right now? They're watching CJ Stroud in the NFL and going, wait a minute. We didn't win a national championship with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They almost did. They played one of the best college football teams of all time, down to the wire.
Yeah, they had
And he
maybe
would-
the
and he-
NFL MVP as a rookie and didn't win.
Yeah, and the Stroud played like Superman that game too.
Yeah.
He did.
Like he played
He
his best game ever,
Yeah.
and they still couldn't win.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a great year. Probably MAC Player of the Year next year or something like that. But anyway,
Wow.
I'm joking.
You heard it here first. Kyle McCord, Mac
he'll-
plays.
he'll obviously go
You
to-
steal that? You steal that from Zach Smith?
No, who's Zach
You
Smith?
the
Oh yeah,
nut
no,
job
Yeah,
that,
you know who
like,
Zach Smith
that
is.
got
Yeah.
fired from Ohio
No.
State.
no.
He does that show. He tweeted that out, literally just straight troll farm, like
Oh, did he?
future MAC
Yeah.
Player of the Year, and like everyone was like dogging him. He's like, "What's so bad about being in the MAC? Like, it's a good thing to be the best player there." Twitter storm.
Kind of, obviously, great question, Royer. And if you know someone wants to answer it, they can answer it with a name. But I'm going to kind of put my spin on your question and say what position groups do you guys think is the most important for the staff to go after this round in the transfer portal?
Corner, safety, edge rusher.
Yep.
Like pick one.
Yes.
Pick one.
Yes.
They're not in great position at any of those three positions. They need help at all three and significant help at all three. And I think today was indicative of that. As you saw DB after DB getting offers today.
Yeah.
The edge rusher thing is difficult, man. There's very few of those that are actual impact guys.
Mhm.
And they're going to get a lot of money. So you're going to have to be a little creative on the edge rusher thing. But corners and safeties, man, this secondary in this league, you cannot be bad against the pass. You cannot be bad against the pass.
Yeah. Roy, you agree?
I do. I think it was one of our strongest weaknesses last year. And
Is that an oxymoron, Aaron? Is that what that's called?
Strongest,
It is an
Our strongest weakness. That's
Strongest
an
weakness,
oxymoron.
yeah. Like jumbo shrimp. Yeah.
that was, and it was like the worst part about it was how we like just completely fell off from the top of the cliff, like having like the best secondary in the country, and it's like 2 years later, like not even close to a shell of our former self. I think they need to go get they need to get a playmaking receiver.
Yeah,
as well. But
I agree.
I think that they need, like, when they got Emory Jones, like the upside was there, like the potential was there.
Yeah, he just didn't throw it well.
Yeah, I know. They need to go get a quarterback that's like got significant snaps under his belt. And by God, if Brady Lichtenberg beats him out, then Brady Lichtenberg's the man. But they need to go get a dude that we will have no doubt can at least have us in position to win games. By making.
I mean, if you were smart, I think you peruse the Power 5 level, and you find guys with multiple years, maybe like a redshirt freshman that started and did some good things in a power conference against some quality opponents. I would, that's probably not a long list, but if there was a list of those type of players, I'd probably, take a look.
Okay. Yeah.
I love when Chad drops his little nuggets.
Yet again, you can DM Chad Brendel to get that.
You can just go to bearcatjournal.com.
I know. It's on there, Royer. Go read it.
All the nuggets are on the journal, man.
Hey,
I think look, if you want to know, we've got a 60% off sale right now. And I think Keegan is tonight posting names of guys that are expected to be official visiting transfers this week between now and Sunday. So if you want to know like who they're really serious about, in the portal. That usually begins with a player taking an official visit to your campus. If you want to know who's in line, and look, man, trying to figure out these names and keep them straight is like herding cats, because they'll tell you they're coming one day on a visit, and then somebody else comes in their DMs, and the next day they're going somewhere else on an official visit. Like it's chaos and anarchy. But we're doing the best we can. And Keegan is, we've been texting. If you've seen me going back and forth on my phone, that is with Keegan working on a list of guys that will plan to official visit between now and the weekend.
Yeah, and of course, also another thing to remember when it comes to the transfer portal and just transferring in general, it's not like a recruitment of a high schooler. It's normally a pretty quick bang bang because they're trying to get there, get enrolled, and be ready for spring practice. Be ready for that second semester. And so these things can happen very, very quickly. So as Chad's saying, lock yourself in on that. And is there still a little deal going on, Chad? You want to plug that?
60% off between now and Wednesday night at midnight. So jump in right now. I said it today. I firmly believe this. At 60% off, it's basically around $45 for a full year. You are going to get that value between now and Christmas.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be so insane. Plus, you're going to get the Crosstown Shootout. Plus, you're going to get UC Dayton down at Heritage Dump Arena. There's just going to be so much that we're doing to bring information for the fans. Tomorrow, we've got a press conference with Wes previewing the Crosstown Shootout, plus Scott Satterfield, Dante Corleone, Corey Kiner, Luke Kandra, Mason Fletcher. There's so much that's going to happen in these next 2.5 weeks that you're going to get your $40 worth before we even hit New Year's Eve. Look, I hate missing a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
I hate missing the extra practice and the things that the advantages a program gets. But if there's ever a time to do it, like just this team needs a talent infusion. Like you need to be all guns blazing on the road recruiting, bringing transfer portal visitors in to try to get them locked up. Like they need this couple weeks right now where they are focused on nothing but making this roster better. We all agree it wasn't a bad roster. I think that's where people get screwed up in this whole conversation. Cincinnati did not have a bad roster this year, but they had a roster that wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
And like you can have a good roster in the Big 12, and if it's not good enough, you lose a bunch of coin flip games and you win one conference game. Iowa State did it last year. West Virginia did it last year.
You can also be great, go undefeated, and not make the college football playoff in a Power 5 conference. But, whatever.
I do want to hear your thoughts on that, Royer.
We'll get to that. It's in the mailbag.
On what?
That's
it is in the mailbag? Okay.
We'll get to that.
The Florida State debacle. Man, I do feel bad for those dudes. But that's in the mailbag. Anything more on this? Obviously, it's going to be a long process just building the team. It's going to but you do have to take a step back and look, all 5 linemen, offensive linemen, announcing that they're going to be returning. 1,000-yard rusher, Corey Kiner, announcing that he's going to be returning. There are still Dante Corleone, Mason Fletcher, just numerous different guys that have mentioned they will be returning. That is, Royer, you're brimming to say something.
It's just like I'm kind of being a hater, but it was just like all I kept coming to my head was 3-9. Like I'm coming back. It's like we were 3-9. Like it shouldn't be like this. Like it's good.
Guys
They're all
that are
great
coming
players.
back are the core of like what they did well. I think that's the important part, right? Like
I agree.
The guys, you're not getting a bunch of corners like we're coming back. No, hey, fucking chill.
I know. It's just the bitterness of BB, just a bitter asshole. It's like, God, just.
Well, it goes back to what you said, though. You know, okay, the number 6th rushing team in the country. Well, if you get a quarterback that is pretty good in the system and can make the throws in this system, and you've got an offensive line that produced the 6th best rushing attack in the country, and it's not like Emory ran for 1,000 yards himself. You know, it seems like things. You know, you have the right pieces in place. Now you build depth, and you find the home run here and there to improve off of that 3-9 record. I agree.
Brent,
yeah.
Does your elite memory, would it be able to pull back on how many missed touchdowns Emory had? Does your depth of knowledge include that?
I'd have to say it's
7, 8
up there, probably around 10. I'd say.
I would go just under 10.
And the timeliness too. Sometimes it was either like right at the beginning where holy shit, like you jump on some dudes that quick,
right?
Or it's like, oh, like we need this, like here, like we just let up a touchdown, or we've been kind of reeling a little bit on offense, and there it is, like there's that play we set up that they probably schemed up all week, and it's just
Iowa State very first play. I mean, very first drive. We don't need to.
So whoever the hell Chad is hinting at, if he can go 90% on those, I will be happy. That will make me feel a lot better.
I've already cried enough about last season.
Those coin flips, man. You know, coin flips tend to come between that 7-point range. It always would be better to have one more 7-pointer on the board, you know?
I do agree. I do doggone agree, man. All right, let's go ahead and timestamp this and hop in the mailbag. It's a deep one.
Hold on.
Let's go.
Sending a text.
Is it basketball heavy?
No, football heavy.
It's both.
Oh my God.
Quick Paper Supply, your local family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. That brings us to the mailbag, which is brought to you by Home Field Apparel. There you go. Promo code BCJ23 gets you 15% off. Look, if you're buying a Christmas present for your favorite Bearcat fan, there's no better place to go than Home Field Apparel. If you're looking for unique, vintage, quality designs, go to Home Field Apparel, click on teams, find Cincinnati, and there's quarter zips, there's joggers, there's hoodies, there's crew necks, there's you name it, they've got it. It's all outstanding. It's all got the marks and the labels that you've known throughout your life. You can find one of them. I've got the 1991-92. I should have worn that. I should have done the Great Midwest Tournament Championship when Lowe was here. But he wasn't on those teams, obviously. He was later. But that would have been great. They've got the 56 baseball shirt. Just a lot of awesome, awesome stuff. Our good friends at Home Field Apparel. HomeFieldApparel.com. And BCJ23 is your code for 15% off your order.
Royer, you should do some digging and find out if Ritter and Sauce swapped jerseys last night.
It was kind of weird. They both came into my work, and I gave them my work polo. They gave me the jersey. I got them hung up in my cubicle. Did an extra jersey swap.
I love that.
Repping the GE, whatever the hell it's called.
It's always hilarious when you see like the social media posts where like these like two guys went out in Vegas and it's like, I loved your work tonight, and they just like swap shirts.
Oh, we loved the jersey swap back in the day. Just like
Oh, yeah.
random drunk idiot. Like, dude, we need the jersey swap. Sure, some sweaty, just
Oh, yeah.
stupidity.
Also, as we're talking Bearcats in the NFL, shout out to your boy Alec Pierce for having quite a day. Maybe his best day as a pro.
Yeah.
Sunday?
We were texting. He was like, we were like, yeah, he could have had like 4 touchdowns damn near. One, if he would have got on the Royer weight train, he would drag that dude in the end zone for a walk-off. 2, he looked like me jumping in the damn stands, like whatever the hell.
What was that?
Celebrations in a stupid. Oh, they're
He didn't know what he was doing.
They're so funny. He just freaks out. When he celebrated with the mascot before his teammates last year. This year tries the Lambeau leap in Tennessee, fails completely, then falls over. It's just so Alec, dude. It's Alec. It's just like
it's an engineer celebrating a touchdown is what it is.
Swag.
That's what happens.
No swag. He's got all the swag in his routes, but no swag in the end zone. I loved it, though. I was so happy for him, man. He deserves it all.
There has never been a skill player with less swag than Alec Pierce. Never.
Hey, I like
ever,
his
ever.
Suit, though. Pulling up.
I mean, his suit game is fine. I'm talking about like on the field swag.
Alec's a dog though. Like he
I'm not saying he's not a dog. I'm talking about his like maybe swag's not the word. Maybe it's drip. His drip. Like there's a kink in the hose. His hose is kinked. He doesn't have any drip.
Yeah. You know, that was always the joke is like the white boy drip. It's just like at practice or in games.
But there's plenty of white boy wide receivers that got some drip to them.
I know, but it
Gardner
just makes it even funny.
Gardner Minshew has more drip. He's a white boy on his team. Like,
no, it's awesome. Like Alec, he's just like during the game, like he's got some decent shit talk, and he gets into it. Like he's got some fire to him, but like swag, no, not really. No, like his celebration, there's no swag in it. There's no like. His field swag is kind of very average, you know. But in the NFL, they kind of limit it. They limit it too. But even in college, it wasn't even.
It's not a mate. Come on, it's not a mate.
Hey man, if you make plays, you're making millions. And dress however the hell you want. Yeah,
I'm not denigrating who he is as a player. I'm talking about his after the catch. He's you know.
Does this trash talk involve the periodic table or square roots or cosines?
Hey, you like that shit? Yeah, you like that shit, buddy?
It's Kirk Cousins, right? The ultimate no drip, no swag white guy in the history of the NFL. You like that?
Plenty more of that for you, bud.
There's more where that came from, sir.
Got a quarter for you. You can call your mom.
The guy doesn't even know what a payphone is. Like, what?
That's fun. Anyway, sorry to completely derail this mailbag already. Are there any football staff changes thus far for 2024?
Not to my knowledge. Does that mean there's not going to be any? There's always staff changes. That's how this shit works. But to this point, there have not been any.
Yeah, we saw Wisconsin's wide receiver coach go to Notre Dame already. So there's
Mike Brown that developed Alec Pierce, Tyler Scott, and Trey Tucker. And then my favorite part is the Notre Dame fans are livid that they got Mike Brown because he's not any good. I got to take a phone call. You guys go for a minute.
This should be fun.
And also remember on this question that this is just the beginning of the coaching carousel as well. So
yeah,
everything but we'll see. None.
Are NIL deals typically done as one lump sum, or are they paid out year to year? One thing that I saw on Twitter today that was interesting was the fact that there was a guy who I guess is involved with the NAL collective at Rutgers talking about don't be surprised if you get sued by a collective for not honoring your agreement if you've already taken money, or just not getting paid if you haven't yet fulfilled your agreement, which is the ugly part of NIL that nobody talks about.
Yeah, I think also this is a case-by-case situation as well. I think some NILs are a lump sum, or it could be just be like a car, or it could be something along those lines, or it could be something that's like stretched out year after year, or it's something where you promise someone $4.3 million and then it's like comes close to the time to be coming onto campus, and then you say, oh, sorry, we're not going to honor that anymore. And then before you know it, you're left out of money and you decide not to go there and go to Arizona State instead. So there's different scenarios for each one, I believe, and I think a lot of the time I think it's paid out separately. Royer, I think that's correct, right? Back when you made a bunch of money through NIL.
I didn't get jack shit. Literally, I was like, the year after I left, they gave everyone like $10K.
Yeah,
like Burton's ass was getting $10K for holding the damn balls. I was like, you mother. But yeah, with that, I think they give it out in chunks. But I don't know about the big ass ones, or like whoever they're gonna go grab, like a quarterback or something like that. I don't know how that's handled. But my guess is, and just how like you get paid for a job every 2 weeks, but maybe they do it monthly or break it down by semester. I'm not sure though, but I don't think it's all at one time.
All right. Do you think we are all done with expected portal entries from our team? Also, the over-under at 1.5 new portal commits for the football team by the next recording of the BBP.
What's the question here? I think we're all done.
Are we all done with
people entering the portal?
Yes.
I think that's yet again another fluid number. So because the portal's open, so you can enter whenever you want. And maybe if you see something you don't like, or this, that, and the other, you enter. I mean, this is more of a Chad question, but he might say no comment. But
well, you can enter up until the window closes, and the later it gets into the portal, though, the less likely you are to find a home.
Yeah. So over under 1.5 new portal commits for the football team by the next recording of the BBP. We're all positive people, right? Should we all just take the over?
I would think that if you're going in, you probably already made that decision. I think the staff had all their conversations with everybody as far as decisions by Wednesday last week.
Well, I think they're saying like people committing to us out of the portal.
Oh. Touche. Sure. Over. All right.
Next question.
Yep. Are they still looking at 12 to 15 ads? Seems like freshmen will have to play a lot.
These seem like good Chad questions. I don't know any of this shit.
Yet again, I think the scholarship breakdown right now is sitting around like 17 to 20 available scholarships. Yet again, another fluid number. But I mean, Chad and Keegan and Coach Satterfield have mentioned that, that number, that 11 to 14 range, So I imagine if they see a fit and they like, they'll exceed that number. But I mean, they don't have the extreme amount of available scholarships to just bring in 25, 30 new players. So
yeah, I'm not sure where things are at right now as far as an exact number with the guys entering and what have you, but As a philosophy for recruiting the transfer portal, which do you think is a better strategy? Going after players who have started and played well at lower levels and are looking to move up, or trying to snag players from bigger P5 programs who have been blocked from playing time but were much more highly rated coming out of high school?
Do both.
It's a great question.
Do both.
Yeah,
Do
both would
both.
be good.
Yeah, like it doesn't
But
have
if you
to
had to
be
pick
one or
one,
the other.
Chad, pick one. You got to pick one. That's what makes it a good question.
Here's the problem that you deal with when you get into the players that have been at a higher level that haven't played. Are they on the 2 deep? Like, are they just next in line behind an NFL guy? Like, are they on the cusp? Are they playing special teams? Are they the guys that you want in your program? Or are they on the third team because they're really talented, but they suck in the locker room? They're not a good teammate. Like, sure, they're more than talented enough to go play for Cincinnati, but are you inserting, an influence into your locker room that if everything doesn't go perfect, they're going to be a pain in the ass? Generally speaking, the guys at the lower level that have dominated are work hard, try hard. They went to that lower level to prove something, and now they're ready to move up a level and prove something there. Ryan, what was Brian Cook like when he came into the program?
Dog. Like, I told the story. I had to fuck. Yeah. Even like when he couldn't play, hold on. Sorry. I don't know what the hell they're doing in the kitchen, but they're doing something.
Whatever.
He couldn't play, so he would just be on scout team with us on defense, and then he'd be on scout team for special teams. And this dude's like a starter level player on defense, and he'd be up against me when I was a 2 on the kickoff drill. And
you got your ass kicked.
Day. Oh no, it was a good battle. He wasn't killing me, but it was every day. It was like I have to fight for my life to like not get embarrassed. And he probably was just taking it chill. but that was the kind of dude he was. Like he was like, even when he wasn't playing, and he was like going hard as fuck during like scout special team drills. And like those, and like not everyone's going to be a Brian Cook, but
right,
you have those are the kind of guys you want from the lower level. Just love the game, dudes, because they're going to find a way to like transfer what they did at a lower level to a higher level,
right.
Just like
Brian one of the guys that they offered today that has played at a lower level. He had 155 tackles in the past 2 years from safety. Like, go get that guy. Like, that guy on the surface, as long as there's not anything glaring when you do your background check or like, that portion of it, go get the guy that's a dog that's out there every day trying to be the best player on the team. Like, I'll take that every day. I have no problem with guys that have been nipping at the heels at the Power 5 level. And maybe it's a situation where the starter at that position is coming back, or, like whatever, like they didn't feel like they got a fair shake. But I'm a little more careful with the Power 5 guys. And here, let's be serious. They're not dropping down anymore. They're not going to the AAC. They're going to the Big 12.
Yep.
That terminology doesn't work anymore. They're not dropping down. They're coming to play at the highest level. If they were just blocked, I don't have a problem with that. If they were third team when they should have been first, is that really what you want?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you see it more in basketball, where like all the guys that are transferring up were stars on their previous level. So that is good within itself. But the guys who are transferring, just a similar
Equal.
step.
Yeah.
Those are guys that
Lateral
have been
moves.
raised in a big level program and high level programs that also add. So yeah, you need to mix of both. But I think in order to hit a home run, you might need a couple of stars that are leveling up.
Look, Ford and Hudson, those guys were on the precipice of being starters at Alabama and Michigan. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like those were like you try to find those guys guys that were on the two deep and nipping at the heels of a starter. Hudson had a falling out with Harbaugh because Harbaugh's a piece of shit. That's what happens. But like, Ford left Alabama with glowing reviews. Nick Saban was like, look, man, I think he could have helped us. But we had some dudes ahead of him, and that I'm more than happy for him to go get his chance elsewhere. And he did, and he was awesome. And now he's doing really well for the Browns, isn't he, Royer? He wasn't listening.
Lost Royer. He might be frozen. Oh, there he
Yes, he is. Sorry, my connections. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We got you.
My connection's being all weird right now.
Randy said
I mean, Ford, he's still.
Go ahead.
He just continues to like impress me and kind of amaze me for the Browns, because he's just like, he doesn't do anything like spectacular. Like when he's running, like he doesn't like truck dudes, or he doesn't like juke someone out of his shoes, but he's always breaking tackles. He's always getting yards after the rush.
He's good.
I don't know how much
he's
of that
good.
you heard, but
no, we heard it. All of it. We got all of it. Randy Brady Lichtenberger, Randy Lochtenfeld, sorry, said you do what you do with the NIL money you have. Yeah. I mean, look, it's very possible. Like, we talked about, like, you hope that the transfer quarterback market is flooded with as many guys as possible. You want that, because what you don't want is a team with a whole bunch of like budget for a quarterback transfer to all of a sudden show up eyeing your quarterback target. You work with what you got, and it's like kind of like a salary cap. Okay, here is what we have to work with, and this is how we plan to allocate it, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Speaking of the NIL, how big is it for the NIL funds that the 5 offensive line starters are returning?
Big. It's big not to have to budget for offensive line, because offensive line is expensive, because everybody needs some.
Agreed. Do you have any insight into how the athletic department reacted to the FSU snub? I'm sure the focus right now is on the portal and recruiting, but I would think there has at least been a comment or two made. I know Zach Stipe, who was the SID at Florida State, said something publicly.
Yeah, I mean,
Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not something I'm asking. Like, I'm not calling people today on the day that the portal opens, asking them their thoughts on the Florida State snub.
Yeah, Zach said, I've worked in college football for over a decade and in 4 different conferences. I cannot believe for the life of me how an undefeated P5 champ was left out of the playoff, and it ruined my day.
Yeah, it's stupid. I hate it.
But
I hate
it. This is the one spot in the mailbag that we have to talk about the CFP. So,
yeah, I hate that there has been a precedent set, no matter how even if the precedent is no longer a 14 playoff. Sorry. The Bengals just tried to run like a throwback, and Tyler Boyd just threw it right to a Jaguars defender for a touchdown. It's maybe the worst play you'll ever see. When you see it, it's maybe the worst. One of the top 5 worst play you'll ever see.
He was tackled like 8 yards shy of the touchdown. It wasn't a touchdown.
Oh, okay. Well,
they just celebrate every interception in the end zone.
I mean, it's as bad a play as you'll ever see.
It was dreadful. But yeah, back to the CFP. It's a terrible.
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. You have a team. I don't care. I don't care if their top 7 quarterbacks, went missing in the Amazon on a weekend excursion during the bye week. Like, you went undefeated. That has to mean something. It can't. Here's the problem. It can't mean nothing. And what it means is, congratulations, pat on the head, and now you get the 2-time defending national champion Georgia in your New Year's Six Bowl.
And everyone's going to say, look, they didn't deserve to be in.
Right.
Royer, your thoughts when you saw things unraveling yesterday?
Yeah, Florida State got hosed, but I do think Alabama would beat them by 2 touchdowns. And that must be the committee's stance, even though it's wrong. So and putting in Bama, it's like, all right, we knew that they were like, all right,
we know Bama would win by 3 touchdowns, though. The SEC is not.
I think they beat Florida State by 3 touchdowns.
Bama hasn't beaten anyone by 3 touchdowns all year.
I think the way they're playing now, they would beat Florida State.
Bama struggled at South Florida.
Shut up, Royer. They needed 3rd and 31 to beat Auburn.
I'm telling you, man. Did you watch the game?
What did I watch the Alabama Auburn game? Yes.
No.
The
Alabama Georgia game ago, Ryan. It was a fucking week ago. It was a week ago.
I'm just saying that I think Alabama would beat them by 2 touchdowns, but Florida State should be in. And the fact they put Alabama in, you knew they were going to do it because they need that shit because they're fucking corrupt in their reasoning. So that automatically just puts Texas in at 3. So
here was their fear. Here was their fear. If they put Florida State in, it was at 4, and Florida State would get the doors beaten off by Michigan, which I don't think would have been the case because I don't think Michigan's offense would have had much success against Florida State. I think that would have actually been a pretty fun game to watch. But I just it does damage to the health of the sport, Ryan.
Yeah, it does. I agree. No, Florida State should be in. You win every game you play. You beat an LSU. Imagine if they would have done that shit to us. And Florida State had a better resume than we did. Our 13-0 year, even though we had that Notre Dame win, but I think that LSU win's a little bit better.
They just had a lot more opportunity than you guys did because you were in America.
Yeah. But I am glad it's Alabama, Michigan, and Texas and Washington are playing each other because I can see if Michigan was playing Michigan or Bama were playing either of those 2 teams, I could see it going poorly. I see a Texas Bama rematch not going the same way, but I think that Texas Washington game's a great matchup. I think it's gonna be a great game. Same with Michigan and Bama. But yeah, it should be Florida State. I feel bad for Georgia because they're a great team. Who would have thought they would have dropped all the way down as far as they did? But it's just kind of like the chaos of the 4-team system. Now it's going right into the 12-team shit. So it gives the Bearcats a chance every year if they can win the Big 12.
Ryan, the SEC's best victory this season was to Louisville.
Yeah, by Kentucky.
Yeah, and that was their best win all year.
And Louisville was the team that FSU beat to remain undefeated.
Yeah,
I think the SEC needs to start scheduling tougher games or winning some of these tougher games if they want to be considered the best conference. Just because you're paid the best doesn't mean that you are the actual best. I'm tired of it.
It was an average year for the SEC. You know why? Look at the quarterbacks in the SEC.
They're trash.
It wasn't a great year for quarterbacks in the conference, so they were mid. That's how you end up needing 4th and 31 to beat Auburn just to have a chance to go to the college football playoff, and then have everybody pretend like you didn't go tooth and nail with a 6-6 Auburn team to close the season.
Yeah, like
the ACC was 6-4 against the SEC.
Yeah, and the SEC was 7-9 against Power 5 conference schools, and also, out to add on to it, the SEC has won like 13 out of the last 17 national championships, which is why,
they get the benefit of the doubt.
Everyone's like,
they get the most team. They've had the most appearances, though.
Just because Alabama gets a free pass every year, unless they really fuck up,
unless they lose twice.
Right. If they lose twice, then they're out. That's the only thing that has to happen to Alabama for them to not make it is to lose twice.
Florida State being the first undefeated G5 to not make it in is disgusting. In any case, if we get a portal quarterback with 2 years of eligibility, for instance, Bo Nix in Oregon, where we commit large NIL dollars, what are you thinking if you are Brady Drogosh?
Hope this guy's real good and goes to the NFL next year. What do you want me to say? What do you want us to say here? You know the answer. It's a rhetorical question. What are you thinking if you're Brady Drogosh? That's a long time before I go. Right? What are you thinking if that's your situation? But you don't have to like act like each other like we're dumb here. You know the answer to that question the same as I do. You're thinking, shit, that makes my life a lot harder.
Iron sharpens iron. What letter grade would you give this year's rushing offense?
The NIL. I'd say quarterback sharp.
Top 5 in yards per game. Top 5 in yards per game is amazing, but I also had no confidence that they could pick up a 3rd and short or any yards near the goal line. Not sure if rushing touchdowns is the best stat to track short yardage, but UC had half the rushing touchdowns, 14, compared to the next closest team in the top 5 in yards per game, 39, 33, 31, 28.
I think here's the thing you have to consider. If you're in down and distance, like tight situations, and you aren't a threat to really beat a team with the pass, it's very hard to run it. It's very hard to just line up and say we're going to run you over. Like that's not the type of offense that you're going to have. Outside of a year where like maybe your offensive line, like West Virginia this year, had pretty much everybody return, Brent.
Yeah, they
could line up and push you around. Yeah, they could line up and push you around. Mm-hmm. If you can't make teams back off and guard the passing game, 3rd and short, 4th and short is going to be just it's not fun if you're an offensive coordinator, because then you have to you got to trick somebody. You got to you can't just line up and just say our 7 guys are going to beat your 9 guys. Because we're not worried about
one weird, that one 4th down where they faked the sneak and tried to throw a pop pass. They had to get exotic because they knew the defense is gearing in 100% to try and stop Corey Kiner up the middle, or QB draw with Emory Jones. So it's tough. But if you have a good, consistent, decent passing game, guess what that does? It opens up the option for a quick pass on a 4th and short.
Well, and it makes the defense have to respect it, where guys have to stay home. Not everybody just crashes the line of scrimmage, and there's no space for anything to develop.
All right. I heard Chad mention briefly that UC now has scouts rather than recruiters. Can you guys talk about this more? Is this a new approach across college sports? Seems fascinating to me.
That is not what I said. I clarified it twice when I said it. they have scouts, guys that are at the top of their resume, scouts. They also still are recruiters. Like that's not shunning one for the other. Guess what? Like when they had recruiters at the top of that room, they still watched a shit ton of tape and scouted. But their specialty was the relationships, the recruiting side of it. Now, when you go to a little bit more of a bigger room, you still have a guy like, I think I would consider Cass like a recruiter. Like that is, everybody talks about how great he is building relationships. And that's not to say he's bad at scouting. That's to say that, if we're doing like a Madden scoring system, recruiter would be a little bit higher than scouter. But a guy like Zach Grant, a guy like Jack Griffin, those guys have spent a large majority of their career in scouting. And I think the way that this stuff has gone, especially when you're talking the transfer portal, recruiting doesn't mean nearly as much in the portal than it does in high school recruiting. Because you have basically, remember, the portal opened today. The second week of January, classes start at most places. So you have 5 weeks to get this done. There isn't a lot of recruiting, but there is a lot of scouting. You better have that player scouted and be ready for your evaluation on tape on whether they can be a major contributor or not. So I think that's where the switch from high school recruiting is always going to be a major factor. But the portal becoming so much more important makes scouting even more of a priority. Would you agree, Ryan? Like in recruiting, in high school recruiting, it's relationships, man. You're recruiting these guys through spring practice and through summer camps and then through official visits and trying to get them to commit and then keeping them committed. Like it's a months and months and months and months thing. The portal, it's like, you dap somebody up and they want to know, like, you ready to commit?
It's money and it's playing time. You got
Right.
both of them. Is the school not a shithole? Yeah, I'll come. That's probably like super low on the list too. The school being a shithole. It's, can I play? Can I get paid so I can get tape out and go to the league? It's literally like free agency.
That's what we're doing.
Last question in the football portion of the mailbag. Can you review for us how letters of intent work for portal transfers? How are they different from incoming freshman recruit letters of intent? Is there any difference between grad and undergrad transfer?
There are no letters of intent for transfers yet. I think they're coming. I think everybody wants, a lot of people want them.
Guardrails.
So that when a kid commits, like right now, a kid could commit to UC today, and it doesn't matter until he starts classes the second week of January.
Well, we saw that like 2 different times with this last offseason. That one dude, right. The wide receiver, committed, then he went to Colorado. Like that Auburn kid, like 3 days later. Yeah.
Did he do anything in Colorado?
I think he had like 1 touchdown.
Money well spent. So yeah, I think look for in the summer to hear that there are some guardrails being put in place for locking you in as a transfer so that you don't get to like commit and then spend 3 weeks like trying to see how much money you can make with everybody that comes calling. So right now, there is no LOI. Just for high school, not for transfers.
All right. That is the football portion of the mailbag. Moving over to the basketball portion. $100 bet taken from Aaron's paycheck. I love how people are just spending my money, even if I went to high school with Zach. Which side are you taking at even odds, tournament team or not a tournament team?
For right now, tournament team.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't like. I
agree.
don't feel massively great about it, but for right now, they look like the part of a tournament team. They're not struggling with teams they should handle. They're winning by more than they're expected to win in most every game. Things are about to get a hell of a lot tougher, and we'll see where it goes from there. But for now, tournament team.
I agree.
Yep.
But I'm not spending $100 out of my
Put that
paycheck.
bet down, Aaron. Put it down.
Shut up, Brent. You don't know what I have to deal with financially. You don't know my life.
I love you, though.
I know. For each of you, what is your first crosstown shootout memory? What is your best crosstown shootout memory?
First, I was a youngin', a young little lad, a little wee boy at Fifth Third Arena, just looking up and seeing the noise meter going up and down. That's probably my my first crosstown shootout memory. I don't even remember the year, but I was under the age of 10. Then the best, I'd have to say that the Troy Copain senior year, that, you know, when Trayvon blew it, dropped 40, I've said it a bunch, just how loud old Fifth Third Arena that final year got when they made that, you know, big comeback. Jaren had like 3 straight big plays on JP McCura. That was just electric, absolute electric.
Big boyed him.
Yeah, I would say that's probably my best crosstown shootout.
Daniel, I'm just gonna let you know, like, that's how you get banned from this channel.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even.
Don't just like, it's like bringing up the N word, the Nevada word. Yeah, we don't bring up
Thank
Nevada here. I almost did it. I almost did it like Brent did it, and I caught it quickly.
Like I
It's
did.
almost like bringing up Nevada. We don't talk about Nevada here.
You're like that one
First-
weatherman. Did you see that clip?
Yeah. We're not going. I can't even remember. Like, it's been so, like, I don't know. Like, I started watching sports when I was like 2. Like, I remember vaguely cheering for the Bengals in the 1982 Super Bowl. That's how old I am, Royer.
Not too old.
But I will agree with Brent. Watching that first half where it just felt like, here, are you kidding? They're going to come in here and do that.
Yeah.
And then Jaren, it's a shame this wasn't like the too small wasn't a thing when Jaren big boy bitch boy McCura.
And then Troy with that perfect like bounce off the front rim, and
then one of these, like, that was great. That was great. I think that was the Berg reggae game where he just listened to reggae the entire time because reggae calmed his soul.
Fair enough.
He had his headphones in and he listened to reggae the entire game.
Berg is a cartoon. I love it.
Really
I love it.
Like, if we could go back in time and just have him, like, not go through all the shit that his family has had to go through, and I could follow him around with a camera during basketball season, it would get millions of views because he's special. He's special.
For me, I remember watching the games, and there was back and forth when I was a kid growing up. I mean, for a while there, never knew who was going to win. And it was just time me and my dad spent, and he had lots of choice words for
that
Xavier.
Team from across town. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You don't have to be sorry, Daniel. I'm just joking. We're just kidding.
Favorite memory? I think I'm probably with you guys, truthfully.
I also like Yancey's senior year was another one.
When he punched Kenny Freeze in the face? Oh, no. That was a different year.
No, I was sorry. Was that his? I guess, yeah, his junior year then. The one where he had like 32 and 10
at
at
yeah.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also the Eric Hicks senior year, 2006.
Yeah. Or Logan, 2001.
Yep.
20-point win in Cintas Center.
Dude.
We thought at the time that was setting a tone.
Dude, he laid that ball in with 0.5, and both teams were already shaking hands, and the rest were like, you guys need to inbound. And I think they just ran the clock out. Like, didn't even worry about it.
All right. The game is tied. Last possession. Bearcats have the ball. Who is on the court, and who do you have shooting the last shot?
Go ahead, boys. I want to hear the other answers.
I will say Jizzle at the 1, Dan Skillings at the 2. Well, I guess CJ at the 2, Dan at the 3, Dick at the 4, Aziz at the 5. And right now, I think I want Dan shooting.
Well, first off, I want to pull back and say that it was 2005. It was Maxiel's senior year at Fifth Third Arena. That 06 was that crazy, Jihad Muhammad game. But the last possession.
You know how many games that describes, that crazy Jihad Muhammad game?
Right. How's that his first ever
all
game?
Of the game. It describes all the Jihad Muhammad games.
Downtown Indy, they played Purdue, and it was a wild game, and I was like, it was this guy.
Yeah,
but it was fun. On the court, man, you want to have Vic and you want to have Aziz for rebounding, but you also want to space. CMOS, man, you want dude, it's just crazy the amount of options. I think obviously we've seen kind of the go-to play is just a high ball screen and letting Day get downhill. That seems to be like the end of game or end of half situations, but they haven't had a tough one. But I'd like to see if CMOS gets rolling, maybe have the ball in CMOS's hands with the ability to kind of break down a defense and either throw a lob to Aziz or kick it outside for one of the shooters. Or if he's got an open floater or mid-range, that as well. But we just haven't been in that scenario yet.
Day, CJ, Dan, CMOS, Vic. Offensively, that's what I want.
I agree with you, Chad, there.
Who's shooting the shot?
The open guy.
That's not the question.
You played Day. I kind of do too. I'm gonna die on that hill that CMOS is the most efficient and effective offensive player on this team. I don't think he has found his rhythm yet, but I don't think it is far off. So I'm still gonna go Day off a high ball screen. CMOS off of, like some kind of action that allows him to
create
to
in the mid-range.
Yeah.
I could see him just getting the ball, kind of backing the guy down a little bit around the elbow and just either just turn around jumper or
he's got a great floater too.
Yeah. Coming off a dribble and just getting right around a couple steps inside the free throw line and just.
I agree. I'm with you, Roy. Or just throw a lob to Aziz.
That would be easy. Throw it somewhere at the top of the backboard and let him dunk. We win.
F it. He's down there somewhere. Mick was 89 and 18 his last 3 years at UC in the AAC with 2 30-win years. How do those teams fare in the Big 12? Does this team have a chance to be better than those teams?
So it's tough. I think the Troy, Kevin guard teams are good, but they still they didn't have elite athleticism like you need at the guard spots in the Big 12, like of right now. When you add Jake, Jaron, Gary, and Kyle, those last 2 years, I think you've got a much better chance. But I still think probably like what, Brent, would you say like teams that go roughly 12-6, 13-5 in Big 12 play, get like a 4 seed, protected seed type thing?
Yeah. I think Troy's senior year, obviously a little bit less, but I think that team that was a 2 seed would be
Was still a protected seed.
Yeah, battling for a Big 12 championship, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. Player ratings for the Florida Gulf Coast game, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being exceptional. 1, Vic. 2, CJ Frederick. 3, John Newman. 4, Dan Skillings. And 5, Jizzle James.
Agreed.
10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It was their best offensive game in the Ken Palm era.
Yeah, they're one of their best stretches since like the 60s. Like everybody was at the top of their game, other than Dan not scoring really. Everybody was really kind of at the peak of like what they do.
They doubled the spread.
Yeah, it was a really good game.
They were all double-digit plus minus. CJ Frederick only plus 11 only. John only plus 14. But Vic was plus 23. Dan plus 25. And Jizzle plus 27. So
those are good. Those are good.
Do with that what you will. If you could add one player from last year's team to this team, who would it be?
I guess Landers just because of shooting, but I don't like if you add Landers the element of like the ball stops more than it has.
And I think would you run into that with Dave also?
Oh
no,
yeah.
I think Dave
I'm
could be
Dave.
pass
I'm
first.
taking Dave. He's a dog.
Yeah, I think if you told Dave, hey, Dave,
I
we
think
need
he'd
you to
adapt.
shoot every play.
If Dave was playing the 2 instead of the 1, I think that the ball doesn't necessarily stop as much with Dave.
Gosh, that's a hard question. Can I just multiply Vic times 2? Just get another Vic out there.
Sure. Look, man, 42.7% from 3.
Yeah, I'd probably do Landers. But
Like
Dave's a dog.
I agree. But I think I would go Landers. Just
how much better would Dave be on a team where he didn't have to be a scorer though? Like if he has an off night, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or if he goes off for 30,
yeah,
great.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying I think you have to with Dave as like the guy with the ball in his hands. It looks a lot different than what we're seeing right now. I think Landers could adjust to a catch and shoot, more of a catch and shoot role.
Yeah.
But tough call. Could you imagine this offense like with Landers at the 4 as your stretch 4 shooting 43% from 3 on high. Like I don't think we gave enough credit to what Landers did from 3 last year, considering the volume. That dude shot a lot of fucking threes, man. A lot of them.
How about that second wave coming in off the bench of Jizzle, Dan, Seamoss, and Landers, and then you keep one of Vic or Aziz out there?
Landers was not coming off the bench.
I know, but that type of a skill set, I guess.
Take one of the guys that's starting now and add them to what you were saying.
Right. Just a little flip.
John Newman off the bench, or yeah.
Seamoss off the bench at that point.
He's already off the bench. Seamoss and Dan are already off the bench. That's already Jizzle, Seamoss, and Dan are already like bench players.
Has Chad cracked his Bearcat Journal New Riff 6-year malted rye bottle yet?
Have you seen this, Royer?
I have not. That looks pretty cool, man.
It's from New Riff.
Oh yeah, over there in Newport.
Yeah. So one of the guys that's like pretty high up there is a Bearcat Journal guy. He was offering to bring me bourbon like regularly while Kelly was in the hospital, and we just never got a chance to meet up. So he was at the Rheingeist thing for the Howard game, and he brought it to me. And I said Wednesday that, this thing's too pretty to open. So we were going to save it in the event that, then when UC makes the Final Four, be it football or basketball, whatever, this would be what we do. And then he hit me up and he said, don't you dare not drink that bottle of bourbon. I gave it to you to drink. So we are going to save it for Saturday and see what happens. And he told me if UC makes the Final Four, that he would be supplying the entire BCJ staff with one of these.
Oh.
So that we could drink it together to celebrate the Final
Chad,
Four.
Let me show you this.
Oh, Royer, what do you got?
I'm saving this. One of my buddies in Sigma, Joe Kemper, he got me just so not as, but he engraved it. What, can you see it? You see this college football playoff symbol? It's kind of faint.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it.
It's just like it's nothing like super fancy, but he put like the Sigma thing on it. And I told him that if they ever get back to the playoff, but I'll match you, Chad. We'll each finish our bottle and we'll see what happens to us.
We're at Saturday night where I have to finish this Saturday night. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
That's what I'm telling you. Start early.
Kelsey said.
Heads would be in fans.
I love
give some of it.
Love
Give some
idea.
of it to the dogs, Chad. Just put a little shot.
Give some of it to the dogs, or give some of it to Kelsey. One of the two.
No, the dogs.
Saturday night, if the Bearcats win, we will be enjoying this on stream.
Oh,
I would love
All right. That's the end of the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the Banks portion, and then we'll get out of here. I found it interesting that Aaron found out about vacation days that not even 2 days passed, and he has power issues. What should be the solution to solve this power problem? I'm thinking hamster wheel and dial-up internet. Look, it was the coldest night of the entire winter thus far.
How do you not have a generator? With as much as you guys have lost power.
Look, I've looked into it. Those cost money. I want the whole home generator. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And those cost between like $5 and $8, and then you still have to pay for install.
Wouldn't you have felt better with a one-room generator that night that it was the coldest night and you didn't have any heat?
No, because I'd end up screwing something up with it being a gas generator, and let's be real.
Did you go to a hotel?
No, we huddled under blankets. We had the baby in our bed until the power kicked back on around like 11:30, and we didn't have to go through the whole night, but it was from 6 p.m. until 11:30 that the power was out.
You could always add more layers. There you go.
As soon as the power came back on, though, that baby was out of our bed. She is not one to be. She doesn't sleep. She's not a cuddle sleeper. She's like, nah, let's party.
Don't skip skins question.
I'm not. I'm getting to it, but I figured we should end with skins like we normally do. Cold Stone Creamery or Baskin Robbins?
Cold Stone.
Rapid fire.
Cold Stone.
I am also Cold Stone. Is CJ Anthony the best walk-on in UC sports since Royer?
I mean, Antoine Peak, pretty good. Joe Huber.
Yeah. They
Wisconsin.
are all better than me.
With silence comes violence.
Hey, but Ryan, none of those guys were fucking Mr. Bearcat. Not a single one of them.
Yeah, they don't hold a candle to Royer.
CJ Anthony still has time.
Yeah. Keep it in the athlete rooms, man. Mr. Bearcat. That'd be nice.
With GE moving out of the banks, will BCJ be in the position to lease the facility so we can move Brent down there to hang out with Royer?
No, we're not there yet.
I'm down. I'm down.
We gotta get the B sign up, replacing that BE skyscraper, Chad.
Yeah, downtown, like right there.
The bat signal.
You could actually have a bat signal.
Chad,
at that point.
damn sign. There it is. That put that on there.
Oh yeah.
You see that thing from
It's so bright.
Columbus. You'd be seeing that damn building.
Follow-up question. In honor of Macaulay Culkin getting a star on the Walk of Fame, who on the BCJ is most likely to forget a kid at home before leaving for a Christmas trip?
Brent.
I also would say Brent, because I am irresponsible in many facets of life, but when it comes to the kids, nah.
Brent, I think you would be so excited to go on another vacation that it would be possible that you just left they're in the car seat thing. Like you got to pick it up and take it to the car. I think you would be loading everything else. And then you would be like 8 miles down the road and you would be like, oh, Gucci, shit.
Sweetie, did you remember their blank? He's like, oh, yeah. It's right back there. Turns back there. Baby's gone.
Yeah. No, I think it would be more like he would be turning around to be like talking to it. And then it just, the kid wouldn't be there.
I don't think he's talking to the baby. I think he's singing the whole trip and doesn't realize until they get there.
No, I think he would be like shaking it off with the baby.
He's singing and
be there.
He's singing and placing bets with his bookie.
Speaking of
gambling is legal, Brent's still using a bookie instead of an app.
Speaking of, I did finish third in a season-long pick'em that was pretty doggone good. Good job. That's it.
Of course.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
It's a big week, guys. It's a big week. Portal will be going on from now until eternity. Stay locked into BCJ for that.
Keegan's killing it.
Keegan is killing it. Crosstown Shootout is on Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a thriller inside of Cintas Center. Cincinnati, Xavier, 7-0 versus 4-4. People are still doubting the Bearcats. They need to see how they play in a big game. This is a big game. So stay locked in. More and more leading up to that tip. Man, it's going to be exciting. Big shouts to Steve Logan. Thanks for coming on, Bearcat legend. Big shouts, of course.
We had Steve Logan on this episode?
No.
Really?
Maybe last week. I don't know.
2 hours ago.
Big shouts, of course. Danco Transmission and Out of Care. Big shouts to Home Field Apparel. Big shouts to Quick Paper Supply. But if there's nothing else to say.
Nothing.
Happy Crosstown Shootout week, guys. Big game Saturday. Stay locked in. But for my pals, partners, good guys. Good Bearcat guys. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer. I am Brent Young. And another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!